Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Women's Speed Chess Championship 2022. Your hosts are today Women FIDE Master Alessia Santeramo and Grandmaster Alexandra Kosaniuk.
Hello, Alessia. Hello, everyone. Well, we're expecting a very exciting semifinal. Let's have a look at the bracket. What do we have so far in this Women's Speed Chess Championship 2022? I had a chance to play. I'll start with that, but I got eliminated recently by vying. It was a very interesting match. Alas, it didn't go quite well as I expected, but nevertheless, the tournament is in full swing. And as I mentioned, today we are going to see the first semifinal. Kateryna Lagno is going to play against Vaishali. And then, I believe next week, we're going to witness the second semifinal, vying Valentina Gunina, which will determine the final match. Well, let's talk about today's match first. Let's remind everyone the format of the match.
I want to say it's super exciting. We are really getting to the latest showdown of this event. That we are just a few matches remaining to proclaim the winner of this edition. And of course, the format. This is the classical speed chess format with a time control. There are 3 sections. First section is with the time control of 5+1, and it lasts for 90 minutes. Then we have a 60 minutes of 3+1 and 30 minutes of 1+1. The point system is always the same, 1 point for a win, half point for a draw, and 0 for a loss. And of course, the player with most wins the entire match. What about the insights, Alexandra?
Yes, let's have a look. Well, of course, if I would pick like a favorite, I would pick Kateryna, since she's a more experienced player. But we shall keep in mind that Vaishali just finished playing in the Chess Olympiads, so she's warmed up more than ever. She did great in Chennai, and I think she's ready for a fight. It's not going to be easy for Kateryna, for sure. What I'd like to add as well, that Kateryna is she's been playing only against Indian girls so far. She started with Swantika, then she continued with Canero, a very tense match against Canero, and now today she's playing against Vaishali, who won in the quarterfinals. She won against Harika. It was a very interesting match, and actually I was I thought that Harika would win and would qualify for the semifinals. But no, Vaishali proved me wrong. And today she's fighting against Kateryna Lagno.
Will she prove you wrong again? That's the question.
We'll see. We're gonna see. Yes, that's a very interesting match. Experience versus youth, and of course, it's always exciting to watch those young rising stars. Definitely, Vaishali will do her best to prove me wrong and to try to get to this final. So the stakes are very high. Let's see the Smarter Chess stats by chessgoals.com. We see all the stats and all the predictions for 5+0 segment, 3+0, 1+0. So win probability, it's still on the Kateryna side, 65% by this chessgoals.com is giving to Kateryna. But, well, statistics is one thing, and actual match is another thing. Shall we also say a few words about the prize fund? Because I find it quite pleasant to show the prizes that women in this event are fighting for. And since right now we're at the semifinal stage, it means that the winner will get $4,000 and the rest is going to be divided according to the win percentage. So,
that's really a big amount of prize. I mean, 4,000, we're playing for 3 hours, and that's very interesting. Now, guys, I think we can approach the games. Let's see. The we have the two players with cameras, and they will be here. The game are starting actually in about 30 seconds, so we will get there soon. One thing that I noticed during the insights was this, that Vaishali lost by flag 60% of times, was something that really interested me and caught my attention. So my question is, what is your prediction? How many games might she lose on a flag today?
Well, I just hope that none of the players gonna face this unfortunate situation with disconnection. And let's just hope that everything will be decided on the chessboard, because well, it's quite sad. It's quite sad to lose due to some technical issues that you have no power of stopping. It happens. It happens. But again, let's talk about chess. Let's hope that chess will be the most important part we're going to focus on during this match. And as we can see, the match has officially started. The first segment, 90 minutes, is ahead of us with games played with 5 minutes plus 1 second time control. And we see a very classical Ruy Lopez, the so-called I should check the names in English because it's a little bit different sometimes in Russian, but it's well, not improved, but modern Stani's defense, right? Where black plays a6 first, and then they play d6, like a very, very old and classical line that's been on the radar of chess theory for like more than a century. And what's interesting is that Kateryna herself is playing this line quite often for black, as when she's playing black. So we'll see what she prepared for this match. I'm not sure for this particular match what system she's gonna choose. And we see that White decided to play c4 to gain more space. To take control over the center. Now the pawns got exchanged on e5, thus the d file has opened up. And of course, White's rook is ready to get to d1, and then White's knight is going to go to d5, knight c3, knight d5. Yes, White did exchange her light squared bishop, which is a little bit unusual for Ruy Lopez structure. But again, this system is a little bit different. And since White already played c4, that means that putting the bishop to b3 or even c2 would not be as logical, right, as it is in classical Ruy Lopez setups. So let's see, we see that after the opening, Kateryna is already leading almost 1 minute ahead of time against Vaishali. It's quite an important factor. We always should keep an eye on time, on the clock, because, well, it's blitz after all. Of course, moves matter, but time matters as well.
It's very interesting that black took already lots of time on the clock here, 2 minutes to think about the next move. Now, of course, she found out a way. She went out with the knight and the castle. I was thinking, what could be an ideal way to develop all the pieces for black? Of course, the knight would like to go towards d4, looks like a good square. And what do you think will be next move? Where is this queen going now that it's under the attack of the rook?
Well, there are not so many moves, right, to go away. But I should mention that this setup, this plan that White picked, playing c4 and d4, bishop takes c6, it's not the most usual plan that one sees against this system. Usually White chooses a more flexible approach by playing c3 and d4, but that's another story. And here we see that Kateryna played the opening a little bit different, and yes, she managed to get a quite pleasant and comfortable position. And you're absolutely right that the d4 square is also weakened since White played c4, but Black's knight is quite far away from this square, right? And Black's bishop is on c6, kind of blocking the way to this knight. And if black takes, for example, on d5, then white is going to take with the c pawn, I believe, open up the c file, and then as the pawn on c7 is going to become a serious target for white's pieces.
I would like to thank Nicola. I see him in the chat sharing 2000 bits. Thank you so much, Nicola. And hello, everybody, of course, in the chat. Let us know, guys, in the chat, what do you think will be the result of this game? One, if you think that Kateryna wins. Two, if you think that Vaishali will win. I'm curious to see what is your prediction on that. In the meantime, it seems that white is having a very comfortable position. Even if I'm a huge fan of the bishop pair, but how do you think are those two bishops doing right now in this position for black?
Well, they're not doing very well, right? Because bishops, they like open positions, right? And we see that the bishop on g7 is looking at his pawn on e5, and the bishop on d7 is also struggling to find space because bishop likes diagonals, they like open diagonals, they like space. And here, where is this bishop heading to? That is a question. Actually, if I were black, I would even consider playing bishop g4, giving up this pawn on c6, then capturing the knight on f3 and trying to hold on without, I mean, with a pawn down, but at least damaging pawn structure for to white, because if black doesn't do that, yeah, you see bishop g4. That's quite a logical decision, I would say, because again, the position is quite unpleasant, and it's not surprising that white doesn't want to take this pawn on c6. Kateryna prefers to protect the knight on f3 in order to have queen takes f3 after bishop takes f3, and to keep this pressure. You asked me a little bit earlier, where does this black queen go to? Yeah, I don't have a good answer, because we see the rooks on c and d files. They're standing perfectly, and yes, black is struggling for the moment.
I would also like to mention something about the pawn on d5, that this, if the bishop would be exchanged for the knight, then this pawn is not too far away to promote. The bishop on b6 is already controlling the promotion square, and the pawn gets pretty fast to be activated. Of course, could be block on d7, so it's not really an option right now. But if the queen would move somewhere else, then it might start to look like a possible opportunity for white.
Yeah, well, there are many strong looking plans for white, and that's what makes white's position so pleasant. She can choose. She can first, for the moment, as we see, she just played a4. She just stopped the pawn on a5, not letting black to get more space even on the a file, although it doesn't seem to matter so much, but actually stopping the pawn and blocking the pawn on a5 might give white some additional ideas with attacking the pawn on a5 by playing rook c5 at some point, right? h6 was played, but well, just 30 seconds. Look at the time difference. It's enormous. The time difference is huge. And h3, yes, h3 is, again, it's the moves that you sometimes make in blitz without any additional thoughts, just to have this window for the king, just in case, well, things happen. And even though it's hard to imagine, but who knows, there might be a position.
I wanted just to mention, this knight would like to be on d6 right now. And knight e2 seems like going towards the square. Knight c4 looks like a very natural move. And now really, black needs to watch out for this idea. Bishop f8 is very passive. Does white already have a way? Is the pawn on a5 hanging?
Is it hanging? Well, it's not quite hanging yet, right? I mean, it can be attacked.
I mean, the pawn on a5, I mean.
On a5, yeah. Because on a5, yeah, it's possible to take. Bishop takes a5, why not? If you don't see any refutation to... but again, after bishop takes a5, you see queen a8 was played, the a file was
Nice move
open.
there. Knight b6 in between.
A
Just
fork.
attacking. Yeah, attacking the bishop and the queen. And now we can say that white has an extra exchange. And can I ask you a question? What is the easiest way to win this game for white? White has a rook and a bishop, and black has these two bishops that are a bit annoying in open position. What would be
Well,
the
white
best
has
way?
an extra exchange, right? And actually, I think right now Vaishali is quite happy with what just happened to her position, despite the fact that she just lost an exchange. But again, all her pieces started looking at least active. Of course, the position is still lost because, well, just this difference in material is just huge. What it would be a great plan were just to get to the 7th rank. I think just to try to get to the 7th or 6th rank. And then if you have an extra exchange, often a winning continuation would be connected with giving back this exchange, sacrificing back this exchange and getting a
We
winning
just have a
position.
resignation.
Yes.
Kateryna Lagno has right now a rating of 2,800 on chess.com, which is a very huge rating. And we see the difference of rating is nearly 150 points. And also, according to the last game, it looked like Kateryna Lagno was always in full control on what was happening on the board. And Vaishali didn't really have many chances.
You see, d6 and the same story, but with players reversed. That's what I was saying. Kateryna is also playing this kind of setup, especially in Blitz. So it might be a long theoretical discussion about the modern Stainis defense and the Ruy Lopez. So get prepared. And what I wanted also to mention that Kateryna seems to be in a very good shape, because in a good form, because yesterday she was playing Title Tuesday and she started with 7 out of 8. She was dominating almost the Title Tuesday, and I was looking forward to seeing her winning a prize, a Title Tuesday prize. I'm not sure whether, I think not a single woman so far has ever won a Title Tuesday overall prize, let's say, because there are 5 prizes in Title Tuesday. There is a top woman prize, of course, but still, I'm not sure about the statistics, but Kateryna was playing very powerfully yesterday, and meaning that she is ready for the match. But okay, Vaishali, as I already mentioned, she just completed the Chess Olympiad in Chennai, and surprisingly, a classical tournament sometimes is the best warm-up for a Blitz or Rapid tournament, because, well, you really, your brain is ready to work. But okay,
Yeah.
you
Talking
need to
about
play faster.
Chennai, she actually had a really good performance. Of course, India, let's remind everyone, India finished at 3rd place. She was 3rd born.
Yes, they missed the first prize. They missed the gold medals.
Sorry?
They barely missed the gold medals. They were leading before the last round. And yeah, unfortunately for the teams, they lost in the last round, but they had great chances to fight, to get even something bigger than the bronze medal.
Yeah, they lost at the last round against USA. It was they were close to be winning, but then that match was important. And talking about Vaishali, she had a very good performance with her 3rd board. She just lost 1 game against one hero of this Olympiad, Olivia Kolbasa from Poland, and then she won 5 games and 5 draws. So she is also in a good form. And as you said, sometimes OTB can be a good preparation. So I'm waiting here to see some. That she will show more than what's happened in the last game, because that was a one-way game.
Yeah, well, it happens. She didn't find the right way to play the opening. She ended up in a much worse position. And because of this situation on the chessboard, she was also struggling with time. But now it's another game, another story, and of course the full match is ahead of the players. We see again this Steinitz defense. But White did play a little bit different compared to what Kateryna did in the first game. As you may remember, she played c4, then she captured the knight on c6, she captured the pawn on e5. It was a completely different setup, while Vaishali decided to fight for the center differently. She played c3, d4, and actually it surprised me a little bit that Kateryna at some point, she did capture on d4, giving up this pressure in the center, and also, well, getting to ending up in a quite inferior position, I would say, because when you have the central pawns on d4 and e4, it's so unpleasant to play against, because you always have to look to watch out for e5, d5, and here we see that this c file is open, and White can also try to use that and play rook c1, rook a to c1 at some point, and put some pressure on the pawn on c7. And Black, she is suffocating a little bit because there is not enough space in the position because of these pawns on d4 and e4. Pieces just don't have enough space. They need to maneuver. In order to maneuver, you need, well, you need squares, right? And it feels as Black is running out of the squares. So let's see. Now Vaishali is putting some pressure on Kateryna in the, on the chessboard and also on the clock. 3.5 minutes Vaishali has, while Kateryna has already less than 2 minutes. But yeah, Kateryna is definitely not the player who's gonna sit and suffer. She will try to find counterplay. You see that she did try to play b5, but this b5 decision can be can lead to more weaknesses, right? The pawn on e6 is forever weak now. It's another target for White's pieces, but yeah.
On the other side, also the pawn on b2 could be maybe this opening up this queen side gives maybe Black some future opportunities. I see that the pawn on b2 could become a target, and experiencing this with the white pieces, I've noticed that sometimes it could backfire having a very strong center, because sometimes this bishop on g7 might be at the beginning not so strong, but then when the position opens up, suddenly that bishop is a real monster.
We should keep in mind that Kateryna is also a Grunfeld player, so she's very experienced with those bishops on g7. She's playing also King's Indian defense, so she likes this fianchet of bishops, and she has this feeling for the initiative, because sometimes the position seems to be desperate or almost lost, but a few moves later, suddenly, out of sudden, all Black pieces start to work together, coordinate, and we see that the pawn on e5 is now hanging. The knight is not only looking at e5, but it's also looking to c5, where it gets to b3 and d3, threatening forks everywhere. So there are forks. If the knight gets to c5, then White well, can end up in a difficult position. So White needs to to fight back, because I'm not sure about this e5 decision.
I'm curious to see what or who chat is rooting. I would like you to ask everybody to choose what you're rooting. And going back to the position, this idea knight c5, knight d3, as you mentioned, knight b3 looks literally terrifying. And what could be a way? Oh, just
rook a5, for example, or even bishop e3, right? There are different ways, but okay, Vaishali decided to just to capture on h6. So she did spend quite some time calculating.
And now in this position, suddenly there are no any more central pawns, and these two bishops at the center of the boards are looking pretty strong. Honestly, here I would take Black.
Well, White needs to exchange the dark squared bishops, to try to exchange, right? To play bishop f4 and offer this exchange. I think that would
be. And
be...
if bishop f4 does Black have a way to keep the bishop? Can you go back
Yeah, but it gives time to white. They can capture on e8, they can play knight d5. The pawn on c7 is gonna hang, so it's double-edged. Of course, black would prefer to keep a pair of bishops on the board, but again, if you retreat your bishop to g7 or somewhere else, then there are tactical nuances in the position, and it's always a balance, right? In chess, there are strategical, like positional elements, but also tactical ones, which are quite important. Rook d1, but well, I don't really like this move because it does let black keep these strong bishops in the center, and we see that now there is no way to play bishop f4, right? The square is under control already, and well, it's hard. It's hard to be playing against such a monster, as you named it. Queen f1, okay, threatening the pawn on a6, and suddenly it was Kateryna who was running behind on time, but now it's Vaishali. She's 30 seconds behind, and it can be quite important because it's hard, even though they have this 1 second additional time every time they make a move, but 1 second, it's almost nothing, right? It just, just enough to make a move.
We're getting to a very important phase of the game. 22 seconds for white versus 33 seconds. And with just 1 second of increment, it's really hard to keep up with the time. That's why saying, like, I don't think that the flag could happen just for disconnection, but I think that could happen just because you're not fast enough to make a next move. Now this is starting to look really very dangerous. I would say this is a very sharp position. Could go in any direction. Could be a victory for white, a victory for black. Could end up even in a draw. It's unclear. The bishop is now for sure hanging, and there is pressure on the pawn on f7. These bishop are queen d2.
c5. Look at this pair of bishops, and look at how Kateryna supported these bishops. And she pushed them closer to white, right? They standed on e5 and f5. Now they transferred to d4 and c4. And well, now it's all about seconds. It's all about focus, precision, and
and also stamina. We see in the live show we have the camera of the players, and literally, if they wouldn't,
what's going on? The bishop on c4 was hanging, no? After bishop f6, wasn't it possible just to capture on c4? What happened?
We will go back there. There is just 1 second on the clock now. g2 is hanging.
Queen h3, and yeah, and Kateryna wins. But okay, if we get back a little bit, I think the bishop was just hanging. Kateryna played bishop f6, trying to protect the 8th rank, but she completely forgot about her bishop on c4, and Vaishali could have just
yeah, so with the side of my head, the bar going completely white, was full white, so absolutely.
Well, that happens. That's what I am saying, that when you're playing on seconds, it's very important to keep your focus and full concentration till the very last moment, because anything can happen, literally anything. Players blunder. They blunder pieces, they blunder queens, they blunder kings. There are blunders, but if you manage, because it's a pressure, this last seconds, it's a huge pressure, and it's not that easy not to crack under it.
We have again 3 out of 3. We have the same similar opening with d6 bishop d7, but again another variation. This time the bishop went on g5, provoking the move f6. I find it very fascinating how in modern chess there are these moves that are hard to explain for more amateur level, because sometimes grandmaster go with bishop on g5. They provoke a move that in one way loses a tempo, and then they go back with the bishop.
Yeah, we have a book in Russian with different strategical, it's like, well, there are tons and tons and tons of books about tactics, right? Explaining all the spins, forks, and double attacks, and etc. There are less books on strategical elements that we can also find in chess. And this bishop g5, f6, bishop e3, it's called there in this book, let me see how to, it's like, how to translate it, disappearing move. This element is called as a disappearing move. So you play a bishop g5, then you kind of ask for this pawn moves f6 or h6 sometimes, and then you go back with your bishop. But it does change the position.
So in this position, still no pieces, no pawn was exchanged. So there is really a tension. Of course, white has 2 pawns in the center, e4 and d4. And black needs always to watch out for different moves. D take e5, sometimes d5 could be an option. And do you think would be a good moment for white to close the center, or is better to keep the tension?
It's always a tricky question, because when you close it, you kind of give up the pressure on the e5 pawn, and you let black attack on the king side, right? So black is going to attack. It's a king side, king Indian defense kind of positions. It after d5, we kind of get a different opening, but it's considered to be a good idea to play d5 if you're able to exchange light squared bishops. And that what makes this system, the Steinitz system, is very different to classical King's Indian, because in this Steinitz system, d5 move is also often connected with this light squared bishop exchange, which is considered to be a great plus for white, because black's attack is less powerful without that bishop. But as we can see, Kateryna didn't go for it. She didn't play d5. She didn't exchange the bishop. Instead, she's playing quite differently. She's trying to blockade black's attack by moving her pawns up on the king side. And that's, of course, a very risky approach. Usually, when we explain how to play this kind of positions, we say, don't move your pawns in front of your king, because it just weakens your position further on. And it's not a very often way to play such positions. But again, the knight is on h6. It blockades the pawn on h7. There is no way black can play h5 straight away. And now white played d5, they played c4, and she's starting the attack on the queen side, which what white usually
It's very fascinating, as you said. Mostly we don't want to push the pawn in front of our king, but in a way, what Kateryna did is blocking black's attack. And now she's going with her idea. I've learned that the pawns blocked at the middle of the board are like an arrow that indicates the player where to go for the attack. And we saw the pawn on e4, d5 indicates that white should try to expand on the queen side. Instead, black should try to expand on the king side.
But and Kateryna has it all. Yes, Kateryna has it all now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if the king side is blocked, then it seems like it's just a one-way game again.
Well, it just seems too easy, but I think we need to, in order to understand what went wrong for black, there was a moment in the position where it felt that black actually can open up, can try to open up the position, can try to undermine this pawn center, can try to take on d4, play d5, try to break through f5. But of course, it usually it requires time to evaluate, to comprehend. It's a very, very hard decision always to change your pawn structure. And here we've seen so many pawn structures changes, right? White's decision to try to block this king side by playing h3, g4, then black allowing white to play d5 all the time, then white starting this attack, d5, c4, c5. It's a very, well, it's a very difficult strategical battle, first of all. And
right now, white seems to have a very dominant position. White did exactly what you should do according to the manual. Open the c5, putting pressure as already a rook on the 7th rank, attacking b7. Also, the pawn on d6 is really starting to look very weak. Should black try to react, or would be a move like h5 with the idea that if g takes, you go with the knight on f5? Would this look like a desperate attempt, or is something that black actually should try to do?
Yes, she was supposed to do something like this long before. She was not supposed to let white to like completely freeze the game on the king side and get whatever she wanted to get on the queen side. That's a dream come true for white for the moment. And even if black plays h5 at some point here, white can play f3. And just there is no way to go further on the king side.
Yeah, the more I look at this position and the more I like white with this knight on c4, maybe queen on b3. And I mean, the pawn on d6 and the pawn on b7 are really not having a fun time right now.
It's a nightmare. This position is a nightmare for a King's Indian defense player. Because when you play King's Indian, even though it was a Ruy Lopez, but we agreed, I think, that it kind of transferred to a King's Indian structure. When you play this King's Indian setup with the bishop on g7, you're dreaming of a beautiful attack on the king side. And now all dreams are just, well, they're not here. This attack is not here, while white is doing whatever she want to do on the queen side. Okay, rook takes e4. Here comes this desperate attempt to do at least something.
Get but I'm afraid on it's too late. Give a check, hoping that one day maybe you can even push h5, g4, but it feels like it's too late. It feels like white already has an amazing rook on the b7. Basically, you cannot move the queen, you cannot move the bishop. Many pieces just cannot move. And white, I think, has just a very easy plan, just to play b4, b5, create a pass pawn, and then things are going to be very hard for black.
Queen b3, queen b6 also looks quite good to get one more piece there to the 7th rank, and then this bishop on d7, all the pieces on the 7th rank are gonna be under attack.
And here Kateryna is starting to push. Now there is a pawn on a4 hanging. Is b5 possible?
Well, it looks possible. I mean, I doubt, I mean, you should be careful about the rook on b7 not getting trapped, but, and you should check rook queen c8 move, right? You should keep it in mind. But yeah, I think b5, if queen c8, then you can even capture on a6, and then the bishop on d7 is hanging. But again, queen takes c4 and queen takes c4. When you're dominating, when you have such a position, you don't really want to get into those complications. You want to find a move that, you know, gives completely no possibilities to black. But now after b4, that's why I didn't like this b4 move. A lot, it kind of closes the rook. It's not possible to protect this rook with the queen, right? Queen b3. But okay, she went all in. She played b5. For some reason, black didn't play queen c8. I'm not sure why. I think she had to try, but yeah. Vaishali is trying. Vaishali is trying. You see, h5 is a nice attempt to do something, and yes, she. Okay, at least she opened up this H file, and who knows, maybe a rook or a queen will end up there. But yeah, she's just too far behind on the queen side.
And now the rook on b8 is hanging, and if bishop takes, queen takes, we have rook c8. So this is a full rook hanging on b8. And just 2 seconds for black on the clock. This is not looking good for Vaishali. That might go on a 3-0. She needs to come back.
Such a devastating start, right? Well, she had her chances in the second game, and that's what makes it so different, right? 3-0 or 2-1, it's a completely different score. And we see that Vaishali, she just got tired of all this modern Stani's defense, and she goes for the Grunfeld. That's an interesting choice. So she's playing a
One thing that
close
makes
defense.
this match also very hard is that you literally have no break in between the games. So losing 3-0 is really not easy from a psychological point of view, but you just need to react fast and to start the next game, take a decision and just make moves. And so it seems like I take this changing first move, playing 1d4, like I want a fresh start. Let's see if I can change something here, because things up to this point didn't go well for her. And now she's going with h4, which is another move that, according to classical check, is not exactly according to the book, because still you didn't castle where is the king, but it's very aggressive.
Yes, nowadays, once black plays g6, everyone considers h4. So as soon as you see the pawn on g6, you play h4. That's what computers taught us to do in the last years.
Yeah, and is h5 will h5 be something happening soon? And on the other side, what is black plan here?
Well, black needs to attack in the center, right? She castled. She developed her pieces. She can play bishop b7. And as we know, that according to like chess rules, that if your opponent attacks on the side, you should react in the center. So that's what Kateryna is doing. She's exchanging. She exchanged on d4, and now she's gonna try to attack these two central pawns. Actually, knight c5 is a possibility. I just noticed this move. Okay, she played e5 a little bit.
But let's explain shortly. Knight c5 is not a free piece. There is a rook hanging on a1. So of course that's a beautiful move, actually, Alexandra. Attacking the pawn on e4 and the knight is untouchable.
Yeah,
but a5 was played.
Kateryna chose another plan. She decided to play 5, but again, another plan, but attacking the center. And after d5, she is going to play knight c5 anyway, I think, attacking the pawn on e4, and then she's willing to play f5. It's all about initiative. And Grunfeld, this kind of opening, it's really...
Black needs e5. This e5 looked another counterintuitive move, because you might say, oh,
yeah,
e5, I'm creating a pass-protected pawn, a protected pass pawn.
And but you close your own bishop as well, which is even more difficult for me. But again, Kateryna is a very experienced in all those Grunfeld setup and structures. It's her main weapon, even in classical chess. So she's been there. She's played many games like this, and she knows, I think, the potential that even if you play e5, you're not letting this pawn close your bishop for like the rest of the game. You want to continue the attack in the center by playing f5 and undermining this pawn on e4, and thus further on playing e4.
This is actually exactly what we get on the board. And now there is the pawn on e4 under attack and the threat of f5 incoming. Let's not forget that the king is still stuck in the middle of the board. And if the position is opening up, this is not a good news for white. So now white needs to find an effective way to defend the pawn on e4 and to kind of be ready to face the move f5, because I think that move is going to happen no matter what white's plays.
Yeah, I don't like what white got out of the opening. I think it's just way too risky.
White could defend the pawn with knight d2.
But with f5 again. f5 is coming.
Yeah, and the question is, how do you face that? Because that's very scary. Sometimes you play after f5, you play the move f3. But that's actually also not you want. It's also not what you really want to do. Because
Well,
then
after
f4.
f3, yes, after f3, black can capture on e4 and open up the f file, keeping your king forever on e1. So it's going to
Let's
be
see this
forever
one.
there.
On
Okay,
take?
well, Vaishali went all in. h5 is a kind of move that indicates she goes all in, meaning that she's giving up the center. She's giving up this e4 pawn, but she's hoping somehow to get to a black's king. I'm not sure how yet, but okay, via bishop c4, via queen g3, queen h2, there are some ideas, right? It's very risky. It's very double-edged because if black manages to protect her king, black is going to have a winning position. But again, it's risky, but it's possible, especially in a blitz game. It's very unpleasant to play against a king's attack. When your king is under attack, oof, bishop b2 is just way too slow.
Yeah, there is a
like
knight on d3 jumping, and this king looks a bit. Bishop d3 is knight d3 is a forcing move, forcing bishop takes, pawn take. I don't know. Then the pawn might be pushing e4, e3. I don't like this for white.
Yeah. Too positional, right? Bishop b2 look too positional, but then okay, queen f6 was played for some reason. Okay, black decided to protect the pawn on e5.
Will white castle here? I know that
castle long.
Well, maybe short is better.
No, I think white wants to keep the rook on the h file. It's her only hope.
On the other side is king in the middle is really not a good news.
No, well, it just, it's very, we're not used to playing with the king in the middle. Sometimes when I end up in positions with the king in the middle, it just feels that I really want to move it out of the center. And maybe sometimes it's fine to keep the king in the center, because you see here, the e file is closed, right? But we're just not so used. We feel uncomfortable with playing with the king in the center. Yeah, and that's she castled, but again, maybe just play knight e3 and trying to
I was
keep
thinking
the king
rook
on
d1 could be maybe a good move, trying to push the pawn, try to support the pawn. I mean, of course, pawns you don't want to push unless you're sure that they're gonna be stable where they are. And now she castled, which, well, it's a bit like it's strange a bit, because now what is white's plan?
Knight e3, bishop c4. That was her plan, I think. Right now after b5, bishop a3 is possible, and it looks pretty strong. Actually, b5 might be a serious mistake because the knight on c5 was protected, and now it's not protected. And this exchange, b takes c4, bishop takes c5, is definitely in white's favor, because the pawn on c4 is going to be lost. White is going to play d6, and then suddenly, out of a sudden, a pair of white bishops starts to look very, very nicely. And bishop takes c4, this a2 g8 diagonal is still weak. This king is still there, so it cannot be fully safe, because the h file, even though the rook moved to f1, it's still open. And if, for example, we imagine a situation where a white bishop gives a check on c4, forcing black's king on the h file, and the queen gives a check on the h file, it might be quite unpleasant. So that's why Kateryna played rook c8. But here, after knight e3, the knight suddenly on c5 is pinned. So there is no way to play knight e3. I mean, yes, you can play knight e3, but that will require an exchange sacrifice. And how to protect the pawn on b5? If you play a6, then white can consider playing, rook c1, attacking the knight on c5 even further.
And interesting what black is doing, just removing the rook and sacrificing the pawn on b5.
So yeah, just to play knight d3, just to make this move possible. She unpinned her knight, But again, now the white has a very good position. The only thing that concerns me a lot is her time, 15 seconds against 1 minute. It's quite difficult, again, to be able to keep the pressure under such a time difference. And I know Kateryna, she's even if she has like a piece down or a few pawns, she's gonna be with a few pawns down. But she's trying very hard. She's gonna use all her tricks to use this time difference. It's very hard. One thing is to have a winning position against her, and another thing is to win it. Because
I want to show just a small trick here. If white's okay, black just played bishop e6, but if you would have given a check on c4, don't forget, guys, about the fork on e2. This could be a possible tactic that you might miss, because then, for example, I was looking in this position if it was white to move bishop c4 and then rook take on c4, because you can't take as the knight on e2 would go there. So there are lots of tricks in this position, and it's far from being winning for white. So again, 1 second.
Why make a move? It's very hard to play with against this knight on f4. And you see the open file, the open h file is suddenly backfires for white. It's white king who's gonna end up being under attack out of a sudden. And yes,
that's hanging.
Rook takes b5 was a winning move, but it's gonna, it's not necessary. But okay, at least Kateryna is also playing on seconds. She still has more time than Vaishali. Oh, bishop h4, wasn't it?
Now
black won on time. No. Kateryna is really fast. I mean, she's really good on seconds. So you either need to have more time against her, or just be prepared, because the last games that I played against Kateryna, it was a blitz game on chess.com, and I had a completely winning position, but I couldn't just keep the pressure. She kept, posing some tactical problems, but it's 4-0.
We have another Stainitz again as the first 2 games. And actually 3 games. And again, we have the C4 moves that Kateryna did. It's a bit trying to set up a monarchy with after d4.
Same ideas. And against this Stainitz defense with a6 or without a6, this c4 is considered to be a good plan.
So she's repeating exactly what happened in the first game.
No, not exactly. She placed her bishop on e7. Vaishali decided not to play g6, bishop g7 as in the first game, but rather play bishop e7. But again, I do prefer white's position so much. Look at this bishop on e7, this poor bishop looking at his own pawns, d6, c5. Of course, it dreams of getting to f6 and this big diagonal, but it's so far away. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this setup for black, because I think positions that black gets are a little bit passive, too passive. Yes, they are solid. Yes, it's very hard to break through, but it's so much easier to play for white, especially in shorter time controls. And well, we'll see. It's not that bad yet, of course. Oh, knight g4. Again, bishop f6 she's trying probably to play, but maybe rook e8, bishop f8 would have been a better plan.
There is now a very nice knight going towards d5, but still this knight could also be could always be kicked out.
Yeah, by f4. It can be attacked by f4. And well, we see that Vaishali decided to play on the f file. But again,
for a possible move, winning a tempo on the knight, and maybe you can even consider going forward, or just.
But after f4, knight c6, right? Knight c6, bishop f6, knight d4. That are the next moves for black.
Yeah, so this is very annoying. As we mentioned also in the first game, that ideally a knight would like to go to d4 in this Maroczy structure, as it's really a bit a weakness, because white pushed the 2 pawns on e4, c4. And wait, there are a few moves on the board. So f5 happens, and white took on f5, bishop takes back, Now the knight took on e7, queen takes, and the other knight goes to d5, attacking the queen and the pawn on c7 at the same time. I guess that queen f7 or queen d7 is a move.
Actually, I'm not so sure about this exchange. I'm not so sure that white picked the right plan, because this knight on e7 we discussed already, or this bishop, I'm sorry, on e7 we discussed already, was struggling, looking at all the pawns on the black squares, while now there is no more bishop on e7. And the black pieces somehow found the coordination. Knight d3, bishop d3 is possible. Of course, Kateryna was hoping to put the bishop on b2, and it looks very nicely on this long diagonal without his without the black squared bishop for black. But again, it feels that black can get some counterplay on the king side.
We have another position that I find very fascinating, because if we see the pawn structure, black has definitely the weakest pawn structure due to the double pawns, and also black has 3 pawns islands. But on the other side, black pieces are so active that black is doing completely fine here. But what if we would exchange all the pieces and we would be in a pawn endgame? How would be this endgame?
Well, it's quite a faraway story. We see that a lot of pieces are still alive and jumping and kicking, and now knight d3 followed by
understand
c6.
The pawn structure, you know?
Well, the pawn structure, as you mentioned, of course, black has more weaknesses. I'm not sure about the evaluation of the pawn endgames. I think that white has good chances, but it's going to depend on the position of the kings a lot. And but yeah, I also like to ask this kind of questions, but for the moment it's quite far away, and most likely we're gonna see a change of the pawn structure in the near future. So black is going to play at some point c6, and then if they can d5, because yeah, it's hard to keep this knight on d5. It's very tempting to push it away. And again, yes, surprisingly, black has a lot of initiative, but it's like dynamic versus static, right? Statically, especially after the move such as c6, black structure is so much weaker. But dynamically, and we see it with black's moves, it's for the moment, the initiative is on the black side.
And now the weak pawns on the center are not anymore double pawns, and black has 2 strong pawns on c5, d5. They are isolated, but they are next to each other. And one thing about these pawns I've learned is that you should never push them. So you should.
Well, never say never. Never say never.
Yeah, but usually you want to keep them next to each other, because like this, they are the strongest, as they control all the square in front of them, and they don't leave around any weak square for a knight to jump. Of course, never say never. Rules in chess are made to be not respected, because sometimes then you just have to break the rule and go what the position tells you to play. So, of course, always an option.
Yeah, you have the point, of course, because when you push one pawn or another in this pair, it's easier to blockade them. It's easier to attack. And when they're together, there are kind of less possibilities to attack them. But again, the power of this pawn is in their mobility and in their dynamics, and dynamics is usually connected with pushing them forward, right? But it's always a concrete decision. It always has to be calculated and evaluated, and yeah, there are many rules in chess, and even more exceptions to these rules. So yeah, we say don't do that, and the next example we say, why didn't you do that? Exactly what we just told you not to do. Yeah, that's life, that's chess. But okay, we see that white played f4, attacking the rook on e5. What I find quite surprising in this position, that the pawn, the knight on d3, it's not supported by a pawn, it's supported by a bishop. And usually such combination, such a situation is very, very unstable. Because
I agree. I was just looking at those two rooks, and yeah, exactly, the rook f3 with the idea of taking on d3. Then suddenly also the pawn on c5 is unprotected. So here you cannot really go. Maybe knight b4 could be an idea.
Or
go safely
d4
back with
or
the knight.
d4. I mean, you will need to play it, I think, at some point to push this knight away, to be able to play queen g6 to protect the knight. Because right now the knight on c3 is attacking the pawn on d5. And, well, the knight is attacked. It has to be protected somehow. c4 is not possible. Knight b4 is also, well, it's quite sad to move the knight away. It's possible to play, yeah, maybe even Vaishali would consider this move. No, she plays d4. And after d4, rook takes d3 might be possible. There are going to be a lot of exchanges. And since at the end, bishop takes c5, white can play like pinning this rooks on e7 and f8.
Let's try to put some moves on the board as soon as we have a move. So rook take d3, bishop take d3.
Yes.
And now bishop takes c5.
No, queen takes d3, d takes c3, bishop takes c5. That's what I had in mind. Okay. But after queen takes d3, queen takes f4 should also
maybe rook e3 just wins, no? On the spot.
Rook e3. Yes, yeah. Maybe rook e3 instead of d takes e3. Okay. Anyway, that's a long line that's not connected with the current position in the game because it's been already quite a few moves played. Oops. Rook, bishop takes d3. Rook e1. Okay, now it's again, they're playing on seconds. The position is quite tricky because
again, Vaishali has very few time on the clock, 20 seconds versus 40, but this time it seems like she has a very nice position. Look at those pieces on a3 and a4. They're really sad right now. Of course, white would hope to have enough time to reactivate, take the pawn on c5. But those two rooks were going towards e1 doesn't look a good idea for black.
No, white is dreaming about exchanging
the queens. Isn't rook e1 winning?
Well, rook e1, well, there is no direct threat yet, no? What are you threatening exactly? Rook f8 here is a very nice move to finish the game. Oh, queen f2, very beautiful pin. Yes, queen f2. And finally, a drum sound. Finally, Vaishali wins the first game of the match for her. That's the first victory for her, and it's very, very important. It's very important. It doesn't really matter. The score, it can change, but it's quite important to start winning, to get into this match. So Vaishali wins with a beautiful, yes, queen f2. It was a very tense and complicated game, but despite having a bad position out of the opening, Vaishali managed to turn the tables around, and Kateryna, it felt she did exchange wrong pieces at some point. But again, Vaishali managed to prove her wrong, and it's very important.
We have a new game. Of course, very nice for Vaishali that she's making just also for us the match much more exciting, you know. And she's trying to be back, and now she has the white pieces again. I'm just wondering. Again, black gives white the opportunity to have a protected pass pawn with the move d5. But this time there is not an immediate knight c5, f5 like last time. So I would really like to
play d5.
Yeah,
why not? Yeah, why not? And again, it will be black who will need to somehow undermine it, right?
Because it's a big difference between this and the game we saw before. Before, after d5, black had the possibility to play knight c5 with tempo and then to push immediately on f5. And so even if the protected pass pawn is a long-term advantage for white, the dynamic perspective and opportunity for black were so important. But now, is black going to play, if d5 happens, can black organize a push on on f5. I want to mention also
I
this
think
knight
they
is
should. No,
blocked.
queen d6, f5, knight f6. That's what I would do if I were black. But you cannot just keep this pawn on d5 and do nothing about it. So it just doesn't look very nicely. I'm not sure what was the difference between one game that we saw. I know that Vaishali did repeat the same line, right?
Yes.
But I don't really remember what she did.
Interesting that
she captured on e5.
She captured on e5.
That's a surprise. Yes,
I was wondering, she was using quite some time, so probably she was evaluating something else.
Yeah, she was evaluating this different pawn structure that she's getting, and she opted up for a calmer option. But yeah, again, d5 looked very tempting, and it's always a pleasure to have a passed pawn in the center.
Yeah. It seems like black doesn't have really any problem in this position. If black could play b6, bishop b7, then I would say black just has a pleasant position. Actually, it's white that has a weak pawn on c3.
c4. So we're not really guessing their moves correctly.
I think I like this move. It's a try to exchange two pawns, basically a central pawn for a pawn on the c file. And basically what black is saying that we are going into an equal endgame.
But after bishop takes c4, queen takes c4, bishop, queen b3, black still has her bishop on c8, and b6 is no longer possible. And in this kind of positions, it's like, you know, in Reti, in Catalan openings, you can see often such pawn structures where everything seems to be okay. I mean, the pawn structure is perfect, but there is just one small little problem with this bishop on c8, with this slight undevelopment that just leads to huge problems. And it's very unpleasant to play. That's why I didn't really like this decision. Actually, I preferred your plan, b6, bishop b7, much more.
If black could have a tempo, no two tempos, no b6, bishop b7, then it would be suddenly fine.
Yeah, rook b8, bishop b6 somehow. Yeah, but that's, as we say, chess is often a tragedy of one tempo. That's why, I mean, the position looks fine, except this bishop on c8. But maybe it's okay. Maybe bishop e6 now it's fine. You know,
and the
sometimes
of b6
bishop e6
is bishop e5. So can maybe rook, sorry?
Maybe bishop e6 right now solves this problem, because bishop takes e6, queen takes e6, sacrificing the pawn on b7, and that's what Kateryna is doing. But then black is going to play rook c8, bishop c4, attacking the pawn on c3, and it's very hard to get out anything out of this extra pawn on c3. Yes, it's a clever way, a smart way to solve this problem with the bishop on c8.
And getting to the match strategy, of course, Kateryna is now leading this 5+1 section. There are 28 minutes left. And of course, she's the one that is fine with having a no-risk position. And probably also this was the best outcome after queen b3, bishop e6, activating the bishops.
No, I like the decision. Yeah, 28 minutes left in this time segment, right? In the first time segment, it's going to be followed by 3+1 and 1+1. So a lot of time to play still. And yes, I can see in chat our spectators. I just remind everyone that Kateryna is a 3-time women's world blitz champion. She's extremely strong in blitz, in shorter time controls, and yeah, she won 2 consecutive world blitz championships in 18 and 19.
And I've seen the statistics.
Rook d8. Rook d8 is a very nasty threat after rook d1. There was some tactics. Okay,
let's show this one. So rook d8, because if the rook takes,
for example, a4. If black plays a4 instead of queen takes b3, yeah, rook d8 suddenly wins a rook. And I remember once I missed this combination in my practical
and then you
game.
remember for life.
Yeah, when I was playing Girls Under 10 World Championship, I saw this idea. I saw this rook d8 check, but then I said to myself, well, what is the point? King goes to g7. The point is that the rook on a8 is hanging after queen takes c4, rook takes c4. Yeah, and of course, after that game, that was the last round, and I missed it. I made a draw instead of winning. But well, now I know that rook d8 is crucial. What if king g7? Exactly. What if king g7? Well, that was a draw. That was a draw.
Well, we had a few moves that didn't get, happened very fast. And so there was a repetition in this pawn endgame. One pawn was captured. And here we have another game. Kateryna Lagno with the white pieces. She's still sticking with e4. Her plan is working very well, so why not? And again, the move on c4. Similar idea as in the previous few games. She wants to set up a Marupsi structure on the center, planning to push d4, and she just did it. Now
they're repeating the same exact games that Vaishali won at the end, but as we discussed, White had a very good position out of the opening, so Kateryna was very happy with the outcome of the opening. Vaishali apparently was very happy with the overall result of the game, so they both were very happy about something, and now they're just repeating it. Although Kateryna captured with the queen, I think in the first game she captured with a knight, and that was a little bit different.
This seems the knight on f3 might keep some option open for a possible e5, and b3, bishop b2 seems another possible way to develop the bishop. We mentioned before, we saw this idea of bishop b2, and then it happened too late when the knight was already aiming towards d3, or maybe I'm confusing something.
Well, just Vaishali in that game, she opted for a plan with knight e5 and f5. And here we should wait and see what she's gonna do with her rook on f8 and bishop on e7 mostly. She decides to play bishop f6, which looks
now
quite
f5
logical.
is not really possible because the bishop on e7 is hanging, and so bishop f6 on the board.
Bishop f6, rook e8 is coming up, and well, White is trying. What does she try? She's trying to play queen g3 and then bishop g5 probably somehow, or bishop h6 even. Black decided to take on d5. Well, with the bishop being on f6 and with rook e8, knight e5 coming up, Black's position seems to be more than okay. So
White is taking time how to capture the bishop. Of course, there are different options. It seems like...
What would be your choice?
Well, the solid choice would be e take d. So you don't have a pawn on e4 that could be a weakness. But on the other side, I also like c take d5, a bit in Benoni style, when White is then expanding with f4, e5. But again, e take d5 seems to me the most solid approach. And as Kateryna Lagno has nothing really to... I mean, she can play solid, and it's Vaishali that needs to prove differently in this situation with this score of 4.5 versus 1.5.
Yeah, it surprises me that she's taking so much time to capture with the e-pawn. Yeah, but she did capture, because I would capture immediately with the e-pawn. And only after we started discussing, I realized that, yes, there are other possibilities. Even rook takes d5 can be considered, but then knight b6, rook f5, knight takes c4. I mean, some crazy stuff, but it just doesn't seem to be needed, right? We go for such complicated lines often when we desperately need to complicate positions because it's bad, or we desperately need to win. Otherwise,
rook b1 is the move choose for White. Mostly is a move that is not showing immediately the idea, but
b3 is the main idea, to get the rook out of this danger. The bishop on f6 was looking at this rook, and b3 is needed to protect the pawn on c4. So it's a prophylactical move to get this rook away from this bishop on f6 and prepare b3, and then play bishop b2, something like this, maybe something else. The rook on b1 is also supporting plans with b4, which can also be considered. I like the plan with getting my bishop to a5, for example. Bishop d2, bishop a5. Unfortunately, black will not allow me to put my bishop on a5. Actually, it's similar, this pawn structure, you know, in the French defense. Sometimes black gets the bishop to a4 after bishop b4, bishop takes c3. So it's a very good square for a bishop or even a queen and this kind of structure, but it's just too far away. Too far away. a5 should be played at some point, I think, by black.
Now is black to move, and a5 is maybe a move that Vaishali is considering. And what would be after b3? What would be a continuation after a5, b3?
Yeah, yes, queen d7 then can be played. I mean, just a4, preparing a4.
Ooh, b4. That's a different approach. We're expecting b3, a bit more solid one. But the idea, of course, is that now the pawn on c5 is hanging. So it seems like forced, or one of the main options is for sure c take b4. And this opens up, of course, the file for the rook that goes immediately on the fourth rank, and then maybe might even go on with, I don't know, rook c1, c5.
Well, rook c1 before is a little bit risky, right? Before, yes, white is trying to use this b file, but at the same time, the pawn on c4 starts to hang a little bit more because it's not possible to protect it with the pawn. But okay, while white is controlling the b file, everything is fine. They just need to be careful about not letting black attack the pawn on c4. But then c5 might be possible at some point. If, for example, queen g4, the queens are going to be exchanged, rook e4, c5. White can get to black's
about
pawns.
Tactics, what happens if queen take g4, h take g4, and rook e4 immediately?
Yes, that's what I was saying. First of all, g5 is possible, like intermediate move, and then c5.
And then g5, winning a tempo, so the pawn is now protected, and then you can protect the other one. Okay, so this rook e4 is not immediately winning a pawn. But the exchange of queen is happening, and actually we have reached the following position. And right now, g5 has been played.
And actually, the white can also play rook d to b1 at some point, because the pawn on c4 cannot be captured straight away because of rook b8. And now we see that Kateryna's plan with opening up the b file was quite a successful one for her. And I think black's main mistake was that black didn't fight back for this b file. They had to play rook b8. They had to also fight for this open file because it seems to be quite crucial.
Rook attacking the bishop. Now the bishop has different option, bishop e5 or bishop b4. But in both
then
squares,
rook b7, I think, will follow in both cases. White can get to b7.
And then the pawn on c7 is under attack.
Yeah, and bishop b4 I don't like at all, because knight d4, knight c6 might happen as well. Because the bishop got away from this big diagonal. Well, it standed very well. And now there are many threats. Oof, g3 is too prophylactical. But okay.
Yeah, just blocking the squares for the knight in the future. But yeah.
It's interesting. I would never consider this move in this exact position, because there are so many targets to attack immediately that I would play rook b7, or I would try to calculate knight d4, or even consider it something like a3, because the a5 pawn is pinned. So there were so many tactical ideas that the move like g3, it's like, oof, something that you don't expect, but okay.
On the other side, it seems really hard to find a move for black now. So maybe white really wanted to give black the opportunity, maybe to commit a mistake. And f6 is now played.
So back to white to decide what to do now.
Yeah, but on one side, now maybe taking on f6, then rook b7 or rook b7 immediately. Yeah, it seems like white is on the driving seats, definitely. And one more time, under big pressure also for the time, 23 seconds for Vaishali, and c5 now on the
It's
board.
interesting that Kateryna doesn't take on f6. I would capture an f6 first and then play c5.
So
but she
we just had an exchange sacrifice on the board.
Yes, well, Black was hoping to get some compensation for this
opponent
material.
d5 is hanging. Rook d3
Rook
needs
d3
to protect
is possible.
Yeah. Time is getting short. Very few time for Vaishali, and this bishop on c5 is really annoying.
Yes, it is.
Maybe I should try at one point to remove the king to play rook d3, king g2, maybe one day e4, knight d4. This would be a bit a way for white to relieve the pressure, and then white should have a very good position. So
well, that's what white wants to do, but black is going to attack white's pawns, I think. Oof, rook takes c5. So she decided she spent a lot of time calculating this line and decided to go for it because, I mean, there was some kind of tension on the board, and with black attacking all those pawns and rook d3 looking quite passive. So again, Kateryna is a very active player. She decided to play it more actively. Maybe it's not the best way mathematically, since the position, as we can see, the eval bar now is like close to 0, 0, 0, 0. But as we discussed, Kateryna is in a very pleasant situation, match-wise, that she can just... it's her opponent who needs to look for ways to win, right?
Now we might have a repetition with this knight, because if not, the pawn on d7 is falling. And this Vaishali that doesn't want a draw. Is this a good decision? Who?
Well,
now the pawn on d7 is falling.
It's getting messy.
It's getting messy by far.
It's still a draw.
But maybe, would just be still a draw, because 2 pawns versus 1 is theoretical draw.
This position is theoretical draw even without the pawn on g3, although it's quite challenging to make. But with the pawn on g3, it's a very easy draw for white. Just the most important thing is not to forget about time. Oof, g4. No, g4, rook f6, and that's how it's going to end. Rook takes f5, and I think it's just going to end on a draw. They're going to agree on a draw.
Also for Vaishali, it's very good to make a draw because she needs to have time. Well, it's very good to make a draw quickly because she needs to have time in order to try to come back.
Well, okay, any game now can become the last one of the segment. So they still have 13 minutes and it's 5 + 1. Well, still, I think most likely this one and the next one will still be played with this time control.
As you pre-announced, this might be a match deciding which one variation in the modern stance is better. The approach with c3 d4 that Vaishali is choosing, or the one with c4 d4 that Kateryna Lagno is choosing. But up to now, Kateryna is having such a great match. But let's see what Vaishali is doing here. a4, last move played. And black is again taking on the center,
but because of knight before. Because of knight before, it's a very concrete decision. That's what she did in one of the games, right? She captured on d4. She gave up this center, pressure in the center, but at the same time, she was able to exchange the slide squared bishop. But again, despite the fact that she was able to exchange the slide squared bishop, somehow visually, I prefer this position for white so much more because, well, the center is such a beautiful central pawns. Okay, well, Vaishali plays c5. I think in the first game with this variation, she also played e5. I think she doesn't have to hurry. She could have played bishop f4, rook c1. She had all the time she needs to improve her position to its maximum and then decide to play e5, because right now she played e5, she opened up the position, but her bishop is on c1, her rook is on a1. All black's pieces are jumping around. Black has a pair of 2 bishops. I don't really see the point of playing e5 so soon.
Yeah, I agree. Most of the time, we really want to build up and prepare that strike at the best moment possible. Now she took a pawn on b7, which is always dangerous. It's always dangerous to take a pawn there because it could backfire. Now we can see that the pawn on e5 is weak, and also the pawn on b2 might become weak. Can now knight take... Oh yeah, knight take e5 is on the board, so it means that the pawn on e5 could be taken. So, of course, this might... It's better for black. Black
it might
managed
be
to...
approximately equal, but since I liked white's position so much with this 2 beautiful central pawns on d4 and e4, it's a little bit sad for me to see all the pawns exchanged in the center and black's bishops. Again, we've seen this pair of bishops on e5 and f5 in this match. That was the second game, I believe, of the match where Vaishali had her chances on seconds, but Kateryna was dominating with these bishops, and it was just because of this blunder. When she blundered one of these bishops, Vaishali had her chances.
I want to compare this position with the one we had before the move e5. Right now, black has had 2 very strong bishops that are completely open and they are very active. Instead, a few moves before Vaishali played the move e5, she had really all the time to organize her pieces to play maybe bishop f4, rook d1. Also, you mentioned before the idea of rook c1 pressuring on the c file. And instead, she went for a very concrete approach, maybe too early. And this is now the position that feels like black solved many of the problem. Now there is a pawn on c7 hanging.
Yeah, she can play even rook b8, rook b2. It's in black's favor, of course, to exchange the c7 pawn for b2 pawns. Because a6, c7, they're weaker, right? And a4, b2. So, and
then suddenly also the knight is starting to feel,
exactly.
Where do I go?
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's about equal. It should be a draw. It's heading to a draw. But anything can happen. We know in blitz, anything can happen. Kateryna has 1 minute advantage, but still too early to say about time difference because, well, you start to feel this difference when there are seconds on your clock.
I see that's also some tricks that are here. For example, if the rook takes the pawn, rook e8, attention.
Yeah, you always have to like be sharp, be present, and look for those tactical tricks, especially in blitz. And actually, a player who is very good in setting up traps has greater chances to win. Because it's not that easy. Okay, sometimes it's quite easy to spot, but it's more difficult to set a trap.
Now the pawn on a6 is captured. Probably the pawn on b2 is about to be captured. So is the a4 pawn, it feels like the a4 pawn could be very dangerous.
Yes. They tend to run forward very fast, those side pawns. a5, a6, a7, and suddenly it's almost the queen. So I like the way white...
Can we say that it's not yet over?
No, it's not yet over.
Also, knight e7, queen g8. That's scary as well.
So now it's black who has to be careful, because indeed, knight e7, queen g8 can be very, very unpleasant. And c6.
Whoa, knight e7.
Knight e7. Oi.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Is this a blunder?
It seems so, but how do you protect you? Vaishali could not believe in what just happened, so she took even her time to look at this blunder. So you see, it's all about tactics. They say that chess is 99% of tactics. Yeah, that's a very...
And there is no defense, no pawn push, no sacrifice. I mean, you need to sacrifice a queen here. Well,
yeah,
it's just over, probably.
Well, I think Kateryna just needs to wait for 3 minutes, to go to drink some water, to take this break, to take this time to just forget about this blunder. Blunders happen in blitz, especially, and play the last game of the segment.
As a professional chess player, What would you do in such a situation? How would you approach this moment? Would you stretch your legs, stand up, or take a drink? Maybe they cannot even.
Yeah, try to forget it.
Yeah.
Take your time. You have 2 times 3 minutes to forget it. Try not to think about it. Yeah. In chess, as I find it, it's easier because nowadays I compare everything to tennis since my daughter plays tennis. And there it's so hard to forget a point. For example, you go to the net, you have a winner, but you make a blunder and you lose this point. And you also need to forget, you need to get back to the present. You always need to live in present. You need to live with this moment. But it just those points, they're so fast. Here you have more time. You have.
And we have a resignation.
Yeah, she resigned.
So she took some time, but then she decided, okay, let's go on. Yeah. On the other side, if you're confident that you are the favorite player, maybe you just want to play as many games as possible. You don't want to wait. So there are different approaches.
Well, it depends. I think she just looked at the timer and she saw that she will still need to play one more game. Yes, there is no way to wait till this segment is over and get an additional 5 minutes of break. So since she needs to play one more game, why to wait? Yeah, it depends.
I agree.
It depends, but it's getting, you see, 5-3, it's not 4-0, right? It's a different story. And
before the show started, we were shortly talking about preparation. In this particular match, White approach is really very, very precise. She's playing the same opening from time to time, changing very few things. So do you think that this is exactly what Kateryna Lagno has prepared for this match?
Yeah, it seems so. I mean, if you're happy with the positions that you get out of the openings, there is no point of changing anything. Just the player who is unhappy with her positions should, or with the result getting in these positions, we should understand that sometimes you get perfectly playable positions, but you just, I don't know, you don't feel them, or you're not feeling comfortable in them. Then you should consider changing it. But it's also not so easy, right? When we're talking about changing like an opening, but what to play against Kateryna, for example. She's an E4 player. She's playing E4 most of the time. And where else to go if one of your main weapons is E5, it would be quite difficult to change and switch to something else. You had to prepare it beforehand.
The game before we saw the move B4 by White. This time White is playing a bit more solid way. She played earlier the move B3, now Rook B1. And we have again the same structure, bit same amount, same pieces. The bishop on F6 was also in the previous game, but she's not going for B4. Probably we won't see B4 this time.
So you see, yeah, she played B3, but that doesn't mean that she is not going to play B4. Maybe she will.
Maybe it's a bit different because I think the game before she had the pawn on D5 as well instead of the queen. Something got exchanged there on D5.
Yeah, she captured with the E pawn.
With the E pawn. It's a bit a different position.
And still, I find it, well, it looks a little bit, well, it looks equal to me. But as in the previous game also, I would play A5 with black just to keep more control on the B4 square, just in case. Who knows? Who knows when this B4 move.
Is something like F4 possible with idea? Maybe to play Rook F3, Knight F5, Rook G3.
Yeah, it might be. F4, I would mostly connect with the idea to break through in the center to play E5, like Rook E1, Bishop F2, Knight F5, yeah, and then trying to get E5 at some point.
Yeah, so maybe this could really be a plan that White might use. I like this this move E5 that you suggested, this idea of E5, because if the pawn on the D file is taking, well, then you see this pawn on the C files are not looking too well. And now Knight E5, on a way, this move would be provoking the push on F4. But then what do you do if the knight goes on g4?
Yeah, that's a problem. So f4 is not possible straight away. I think
h3.
that's why white played h3. It's quite a useful move, window for the king, just in case we know that it can happen, right? Back ranks are quite important since the kings are there. And yeah, keeping in mind this f4 option, although I'm not so certain that Kateryna actually is considering this plan. Although, oh, queen to d7, isn't it a blunder? Like f4, bishop takes c5. Isn't the queen on d7 is going to hang and the pawn on d6 thus will become pinned?
Yeah, I think this works. f4 attacking the knight. The knight needs to move somewhere, and now the queen is not longer protected. Ooh, but rook bd1 was played. Uh-oh. I think
With
that worked.
with the idea capturing on c5. That's what I was saying. I'm not sure that Kateryna considers this f4 move, even in the situation where it might
Wins a
have been a
pawn.
good way, yes. But sometimes you just don't consider certain moves. You have other plans in mind, and even if like the situation changes and this move suddenly becomes a good one in this exact moment, it's a different story.
Again, now there is a queen trade offer. What is white doing? Going back with the queen? Okay. Because mostly white would, I would say that white doesn't want to exchange too many pieces, maybe in this situation. It's a bit more pleasant position. Maybe not even true. How would be the endgame without queens? What do you think?
You always like to evaluate it. I don't know. Actually, it's a tricky question because Black's plan was a5, a4 in the endgame. Looks pretty strong.
By the way, we just reached the time left is 0-0-0. So it's officially the last game of the 5+1 segment. There are still the situation on the clock is 2 minutes for Kateryna and 1:50 for Vaishali. F3 played.
Yeah, protecting the pawn on e4, and Kateryna is willing to bring her knight from g3 to d5, I think, or somewhere closer to the queen side. Knight e2, knight c3, knight d5 can be an option, or even, well, it can go to h5.
Ooh,
Yes,
knight h5.
Putting some more pressure on the king side. If the bishop goes away from this long diagonal, then queen c3 can become quite unpleasant. Or
yeah, I really
b2.
like queen c3. I mean, do you have to play f6? That would be not nice.
Not nice.
Bishop f8 maybe
not
better.
Nice. Well, bishop f8, then white has all those ideas connected with bishop h6, or bishop c1, bishop b2. Now it's a different story. The bishop is no longer on the big diagonal and it changes everything.
Yeah, suddenly a few moves later, it seems like white is really pushing here. And this just because the pieces became suddenly much more passive. This bishop on f8 is just defending right now and doesn't have many perspective because bishop e7 is no longer a possibility.
I'm not sure what black did wrongly. Maybe they had to play a4, a5, a4 sooner without those queen d7, queen c6, without maneuvering her pieces. Because right now it's quite sad. Knight f5, bishop b2, many threats for white.
Rook e5 is trying to send the knight back. Now the question is what to do, because still, I know that Kateryna didn't consider, but still f4 could be something that could happen.
I don't think she considers this move right now, but yeah, it might eventually lead to winning actually the game. For example, after knight f5 and f4, then this battery, queen and bishop battery, and all these ideas connected with knight h7, knight h6, yeah, suddenly might become very unpleasant. And
again, Vaishali has just 27 seconds on the clock. 27 seconds is not too much time.
F4, here we go. Now it is the time. Now the rook is trapped suddenly, and black has to sacrifice it.
Yeah, and I love pushing pawns. I mean, f5, maybe even f6. And yeah, it's interesting. Okay, 95, I think, will happen. Now
Well,
black
but
has
it's
again.
winning. Yeah, it's winning for
Just have,
white.
okay, knight to h4, trying some
I think
tricks.
rook d2 e1 is winning because after knight f5, queen g5 is gonna happen.
Rook d1?
Rook d2 e1, yeah. Knight takes f5, queen g5. And the game is over. Queen f7, queen c2, queen f5, queen b2, queen f7, and checkmate on f8.
Queen c2 played?
Yeah, but then rook f2. Yeah.
Now where's the screen going? Well, nowhere.
Yeah. And that's another victory, a very nice victory by Kateryna. Although the position was quite unclear, I must say, after the opening, it felt equal. It felt equal. But something did go wrong for Vaishali.
And this is the score that we have at the end of a 5+1 segment. 6 points for Kateryna Lagno and 3 points for Vaishali. I think it's time for us to hit a short break. And guys, we will be back soon for the 3+1 segment. Don't go anywhere. See you soon. Welcome back. Our hosts today are Women FM, Alessia Sonterum, and Grandmaster Alexandra Kosteniuk. We are about to approach the semi-final of the big match between Kateryna Lagno and Vaishali. We are in the 3+1 segment, so the time is getting shorter. In the first segment, we saw a very important domination of Kateryna Lagno winning 6-3. What is your prediction about this next segment, Alexandra?
Well, I think as the match progresses, as the players have less time, it's going to be harder for Vaishali because, well, actually, I didn't expect such a dominance in the first part, in the first segment from Kateryna's side. But since she's already 3 points up, I think it's going to be tough for Vaishali to fight back. Of course, she will try her best, but given the fact that Kateryna is leading the match by such a huge margin already after 5+1 time control, well, Kateryna, she was my clear favorite of the match, if I would pick, and now she just increased her ways. I mean, increased
the distance from 3 points. And I wanted to ask a good question. What about if the openings will change? But I think there is already a reply on the board. Vaishali is switching between e4 and d4. Instead, Kateryna Lagno is feeling so comfortable with our moves, that with our openings, that she's sticking to that.
Yeah, and in general, I don't think Kateryna is a player who is switching a lot between openings. At least I didn't notice her doing that in her previous Women's Speed Chess Championship matches, and I played with her many times. I mean, she picks up a plan, she chooses certain openings, and usually she sticks to it.
In this position, Black is clearly attacking the center with the move c5, and now White is taking on c5. Is this pawn free, or what is happening next?
Well, the pawn on b7 is hanging right at the end, so
on b7.
Yeah, now it's gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now the queen takes, and now b7 is again under attack.
Well, the knight on c5 is protecting the pawn on b7. But yeah, bishop d5, for example, is possible. And the pawn, Black will need to protect this pawn somehow.
It seems like White was always under time pressure. Now Rook d1 attacking the queen. And now it seems like Vaishali is trying to speed up. What I would say that Vaishali played a very interesting chess, but she was always under pressure, no matter if the position was good or less good. So maybe now she will try to get a bit faster. What do you think?
Well, it depends. I mean, there are players who can get faster. Certain players, they will not they're not gonna get anything nice out of playing faster, because they do require a certain amount of time to reach their decisions. So it's very individual thing. For example, throughout my career, I try to play faster, I try to play slower, but it depends. It depends on your ability to calculate, to comprehend the position, to take decisions.
This position, we have similar pieces on the board, dark square bishop, a pair of knights, queen and rooks. But there is a difference, this b3 and b2 pawns. Is this clearly good for Black? But how good is this?
Well, of course, those doubled pawns are weaknesses in longer terms, but at the same time, right now, it's quite a concrete position, and White just won a pawn. And yes, those doubled pawns, it's not like a full extra pawn, but still, it might be a half extra pawn, but it still might be enough to put some pressure on black.
The one thing that white gets here is like an extra supported square for the knight. No, also on c4 you have support. And even if the pawn, it's hard to create. Mostly when you have an extra pawn, you would like to create a pass pawn towards an endgame and then to make that pawn count. And here with the double pawns, it doesn't seem like it will be easily to do that. Still, I mean, it's an extra pawn.
Yeah, pawn is an extra pawn. But okay, white did play knight d5. Although she was able to play bishop c5 first and then knight d5. Not exchanging, but rather putting her knight to d5. I preferred that continuation because I think if white exchanges all minor pieces, then black will be closer to a draw, because it will be tougher to get through with just a queen, with just queens and rooks present on the board. Maybe not. But
now bishop d4, so there is the chance to get to this endgame. And the bar, the evaluation bar, is exactly in the middle. So seems like it will be very tough, as you said, as you pre-announced. What could be a way to try something here? h4, h5?
Well, of course, white is dreaming of, for example, playing rook c4 at some point, or rook a4, and forcing black in a dream-like variation to capture back. But, well, definitely black is not going to capture back on c4. And as we can see, Kateryna is playing back to d8, attacking the pawn on d5. And now after rook d4, even e6 might be quite a serious possibility.
Yeah, and that's why Vaishali is taking time. And she's playing rook e4 with the idea to change the pawn on d5 for the pawn on e7.
And after, for example, queen takes f3, there are going to be many double pawns.
That's beautiful. Well, funny. Okay, we had rook d7 on the board, so the exchange of queens didn't happen, and now rook back to d4. But wasn't e6 then? E6 was not possible anymore because pawn take on e6, the rook was hanging.
But now let's watch, the players play under time pressure. It's a situation again where everything is going to be decided on seconds, and it's hard. Vaishali managed to double her pieces and provoked Kateryna. Oof, g4, what a move. What a move.
The question is, whose king is weaker, but it's not clear. 5 seconds on the clock for both players. And now the g file might be open. Black wants to exchange the trade the queens.
White is getting there. White is definitely getting there. King g4. And then if she manages to support her g6 pawn.
f4, f5, and this looks well. Now the material is suddenly equal, but those pawns are much more dangerous.
Unfortunately for white, she didn't have time to capture on e7, rook b3, okay, but e6, and black is winning back the g6 pawn, and it's a draw. It should be a draw, and I think the players will agree to a draw.
Funny how we were, having a calm commentary, but they were literally playing on 1 second. They had 1.0.5, and they still managed to play very good moves.
Yeah,
a good draw.
And we are back to the Ruy Lopez opening and g6. It's a slightly different line to what we've seen in the first segment of the match. But again, funnily enough, Kateryna is playing this line with the black pieces as well. So she knows this line very much. We've seen this line, bishop g5, right? This disappearing move that we discussed.
f6, yes.
f6, and then getting, or knight e7. Yes, knight e7 is possible. And here white has a choice. They can always either play d5 or even take on e5. In blitz, for example, I like capturing on e5, opening up the d file, and I find this position more comfortable for white.
And what is the difference? Why should white be more comfortable? Because the structure is similar. Why is white having?
Well, I mean, because if black takes back with the d pawn, then the d file opens up, and it's easier for white to put pressure on this queen. Why as a d file? Somehow it's easier.
Okay, on the board there is knight d2 castle and bishop take on c6. This is an atypical move because mostly you mentioned the plan with d5, then you want to exchange the light square bishops and push on the queen side all your pawns.
Yeah, I see Kateryna is exchanging this bishop not for the first time in this match, with the idea connected with capturing the pawn on e5. So in kind of forcing black to take back with the pawn, because after d takes e5, immediately knight takes e5 is a big possibility. But I'm not so sure about this plan at this exact moment, because usually white plays bishop takes e6 when black plays a6 in order to win time. But again, if she likes this kind of position, if she feels comfortable in them, and she makes her decisions fast, and why not? f5, yeah, definitely the move I would consider as well for black.
Now, what are you? I always need to confess something. I feel always very nervous when f5 is played by one of my opponent because I'm not sure how to react. What could be a way to react here?
But it depends on the position, right?
Yeah.
It's very hard in chess to find a universal answer. We wish we could have a universal answer to all f5 plans or all f5 moves, but it really depends on the position. For example, e takes f5, the moves that you would normally don't want to make because you give up the center. You give more possibilities to black's pawns to advance. And that's not really something that white wants. But okay, again, Kateryna decided to take on f5 and then to put pressure on the e5 pawn, a very concrete approach, although knight takes e5 is not really a threat. Okay, anyway,
e5 is now.
It's changed. Yeah, it changed the position. I significantly changed already.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that was one of the first situations where Vaishali had more time, but as soon as I thought this, then Vaishali started thinking, and now she has less time. So not a good timing there.
Maybe she doesn't feel comfortable with these pawns hanging in the center.
I mean, you always need to, also for white, this is not really comfortable. You always need to see f4, e3. I always need to calculate all the push or to at least get an impression of how would be the position. But yeah. f3, wow.
f3 trying to undermine those pawns. And you see that now white's knight is gonna get to f5. If black captures with f5 pawn, f takes e4, knight f5 might happen, yeah.
And now we have two knights against two bishops. But it seems that the two knights are doing so great up to now, especially the knight on f5, connected with idea like queen g4. The only problem is how to bring this knight on d2 to the game. Maybe winning the pawn on
maybe
e4.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, it can be brought to the game by capturing the pawn on e4.
Yeah.
So you just put more pressure. Okay, now the knight on f5 is hanging. Kateryna decides to exchange it immediately, and then she would move her rook to e1. Well, first she plays queen e3 in order not to let black play e3 herself.
Mostly the black piece to block a pawn is the knight, but it's not so easy to bring.
Well, knight takes f1 now, and then
and then you can maneuver.
Eventually, although bishop takes a2, I would consider capturing this pawn at some point. Yeah, why not? I mean, the position is quite unpleasant for black because the king is very weak, and with queen and knight present on the board, and with seconds ticking, it's getting very, very unpleasant. You know,
I call the knight the swindle piece because it allows
h4, for example, now. Yeah,
and then you can, if queen take e3, you want to play knight f5 first?
No, knight f5 first is not possible because queen takes e3 is a check. Yes, unfortunately.
White to move. White has still
Mhm.
45 seconds, so time to think. It's always Vaishali that is in serious time trouble. Time
Queen
pressure.
c3. It'd be possible to try to leave the queens on the board, but maybe just capturing on g5. I'm trying to evaluate this position. I'm trying to evaluate this endgame. It seems to be better for white because queen takes g5, h takes g5, king f2, and then king e3. The pawn on
White gave a
e4.
check,
Mhm.
and is trying to change. I mean, it's trying to keep the queen on the board, but now you are forced to go. And now king f2, bringing the king.
Now it's even better because black's rook cannot get to the d file.
Yeah, block.
Knight
Now...
f5. Here comes a swindle. Ooh, and Kateryna misses it. Ay.
And now king
g6. That happens. You see, she has a plan. She has a plan in her head. Sometimes it's so hard to be flexible. Well,
I said the knight is the swindle piece. Now knight e2.
And knight f4. Yeah, another fork is in the air. Knight takes h5 is also looks pretty good. I don't know why she decided to capture here, but okay. Rook b7, knight f4.
Pawn on e4 is also falling. This is not good for black.
No. But again,
there
we see the eval bar jumping up and down, Bishop c6 is a threat. Yes, white also needs to be careful. On seconds, it's possible to blunder. Oof, a4 is just a pawn blunder. I think even capturing on c6 would lead to winning position. Too many extra pawns.
Yeah, the pawn on h6 doesn't seem stoppable. Also, knight on g6 is ready. Now, some last tricks, but the bishop on c2 is not possible, unfortunately. And so this chapter, king g7 should be a resume. Here we have another victory by Kateryna Lagno. Well, that's really, it's now time for Vaishali, to start win. If not, we don't have excitement in this match. We want a close match.
Well, of course, you always... we as spectators always want to see a close match, but it's not always the case, right?
Yeah, sure. But actually, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember exactly the Smarter Chess predictions, I think that the bullet section was the one that was considered to be the closest one.
That's funny. I don't know why.
Because the rating is closer in bullet.
Well, it's a rating of chess.com, right? But chess.com rating for those players, it's they only play bullet, I think, in during the Women's Speed Chess Championship.
That's true.
And well,
depends. Many players. I saw yesterday that Nihal Sarin was playing thousands of bullet games. So not all the chess professionals are not playing bullet.
No, I'm not saying that. But women usually, especially professional women's players, I didn't see them playing so many games compared to men. I don't know why, but actually, I think it harms more your chess than it does good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people will disagree with me, but
let's ask chat what they think. Guys, do you think that bullet is useful or not? I'm curious what they might say. Bullet is fun. It's fun, and sometimes on an unprofessional and not professional level, it's nice to have some quick games where you can have crazy things going on. But okay.
Yeah.
Let's stick to chess and this position. We have an isolated pawn on d5 for white. Is this a plus for white or is a weakness?
Well, with isolated pawns, it's always double-edged. It can eventually become a weakness, especially if all the pieces will get exchanged and we get to a pawn endgame. But at the same time, it gives you some dynamical pluses. It can move forward. There is no pawn in front of it. It does attack many squares around it itself. And this isolated pawn is not on d4, but on d5. So it also gives white some space. But yeah, the structure is quite tricky. The isolated pawn on d5, the double pawn on the b file. So for the moment, it's not so clear.
a7 is again hanging. We have
Yeah,
the
for some
scene.
reason, Black just decided to give up this pawn on A7. I don't know why.
It's curious.
I don't think it was such.
Accessory.
Yep, but okay. Well, White at least now they have an extra pawn. Again, this half extra pawn that we already discussed, but still a pawn.
Yeah, but the game before actually was very tricky at the end. And so, extra pawn can also always be a resource, this half extra pawn. Is Black to move? What is Black thinking? Is there any active plan for Black? H5,
For Black?
5. Yes.
Well, they need to find a way to attack those pawns, I believe. The D5 pawn, maybe the pawns on the B file. I'm not sure how exactly to attack them, because that's the funny thing about isolated pawns, that we say that the knight, right, can blockade this isolated pawn and stand perfectly in front of it. The only problem is that you cannot win this pawn if your knight is standing in front of it. You still need to move it away to attack it.
Yeah, I was looking for some active possibility for Black, because through this match, Kateryna Lagno always try to find out some moves in order sometimes even to give a pawn in order to keep her pieces active. But this position seems like it's not so easy to find something super active for Black. You would like to attack the pawn on D5. How to do it one more time?
Well, who knows? Knight D4. Knight can start jumping. The pawn on B3 will be attacked.
We have 1 minute versus 1 minute on the clock. We're about to get to some sharp moments. Yes.
Same time trouble.
Yes.
And trouble times crumble. Yes, we're looking forward, of course, to those last seconds amusement.
I start to see some tricks. Knight A4, Knight B6. Always watch out for the tactics. Rook E1 played. Now that the queen is not protected, is something like E6 possible?
Well, after E6, you should always consider D6, right? So this pawn might consider getting closer to D8, to her dream destination.
Absolutely. Then what to play? Because now also E7 is a bit of a target. Is G4 another idea that White might be looking forward, or is too risky?
Well, it's quite risky, but yeah, you always have to remember that such moves are possible, actually. But okay, Black got her knight back to D6. And Vaishali is pressing on time. And it's very important for her, almost, yes, in the match. It's very important for her to keep this pressure, to keep this tension, to make moves faster, a little bit faster. The problem with Blitz that, well, it's not a classical chess, right? Time is running out.
The pawn on H5 is hanging.
Well, it's not the biggest problem, I believe. Yes, queen takes H5. F6 is not possible since the pawn on G6 is hanging. Okay, but now
queen G4, H5.
You got to be careful about those pieces, the queen and the rook.
And the time situation.
H5, king H6. Okay, I'm kidding, but who knows? Yeah,
king H6.
Okay, I read her mind, but okay, the Val bar doesn't like it at all, but it is scary, this kind of move.
Wow, F4?
I don't know what was supposed to be. Maybe rook G6 and queen F4 was the key to the position. Anyway.
Knight E4. Is queen D4 a check? You can't take on E4 because G6 is hanging.
Rook G6, queen H5, checkmate. So the pawn on G6 should be protected somehow. Kateryna didn't find a way to protect it. Maybe there was no way to protect it. Knight G5 looks very very scary.
But there is Knight E6 check then, winning the queen. So that was also good.
But that also looks very, very promising. Rook takes G2, queen takes F4. That was a blunder. Okay, that was a blunder.
Now it's not possible to stop the checks. Oh no, this is
I was scared. I was scared because Vaishali made the move on the last seconds. When she made the move, she had one 1 second left.
Yeah, terrible.
Ooh, that would be such a pity to lose.
Yeah.
It's still quite upsetting to make a draw in these games, but to lose it, oof. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, here Vaishali needs to take her chances because that was a very important game. And Kateryna ending up in a draw she can be happy with that, I think.
Of course. Every draw makes her closer to the finals. And Kateryna is also quite a practical player, quite a pragmatical player. She knows how to exchange pieces and how to make draws.
Look for the draw at the right moment. Mm-hmm. And she also was about to turn the table and win the game on time. Another opening here. We can safely say no stayness anymore.
Well, we see, yes, one of the main lines of this bishop b5 g6 system. Well, there are many, of course, lines in this setup. The bishop is on b3, sometimes on c2. And yes, as we can see, black gave up the center. Well, they let white put her pawns on d4 and e4. And, well, black is trying and hoping to attack the central pawns. So they can backfire, as you said, right? Because white pushed it too far away, a little bit too far away. And now white needs to protect them.
And what are some ways for black to attack those pawns? Mostly in the Sicilian, we like to play c5, no? Counter-attacking the center. Is this possible also here? Something like knight b4, c5?
Yeah, it might be one of the ideas. But bishop g4 is the first step to attacking them, right? Because right now, for example, after bishop takes f3, white is almost obliged to take with the g pawn. Because after queen takes f3, knight takes d4 is going to fall.
And how dangerous is now the situation here on the king side?
Well, we often see positions with doubled pawns on the f-file because, well, there are not so many pieces left for black to attack. But at the same time, black has ideas with f5, with trying to get closer to white's king d5. That's another story and another situation.
Here we had instead of bishop takes, we had knight e7, bishop b3, and d5.
Yeah, a completely different approach for black. So after e5, knight f5. Does she want to play knight f5? I don't know. I would play e5 anyway. After knight f5, I would play h3 and f6. That's what black has in mind. Good to know.
Now what's up for white? Taking on f6 or
but if you capture an f6, yeah, the f file opens up, and then even rook takes f6, yes, is a worse consideration.
I think you should always keep in mind something taking on f3. Sometimes even the rook could be an option sometimes.
Bishop takes f3 looks pretty good to me. And then rook f5. And yeah, somehow this d5 f6 plan worked pretty well for black. I'm not even sure what white did wrong. But okay, now rook f5. I don't know why, but Vaishali doesn't take on f3. She keeps this pressure. Yeah, she believes that a threat is more unpleasant than the execution. But okay, at some point, it might be too late.
And now we have some tactics. If bishop take f3, we might have
bishop takes e7.
Yeah, bishop take e7. So queen e1 might be a good move that solves the problem of the pin.
No, I mean, bishop takes f3, bishop takes e7. It's not over yet. Queen d7 is possible there. And with the idea after g takes f3 to play rook e8. But okay, it's quite complicated.
Wow. We'll see what happens. I'm curious. Queen e1 is a very challenging move, and Vaishali is thinking because she needs to, she needs to calculate to be sure if she can take on g3 or not, on f3 or not. And now 30 seconds on the clock. Again, we're about to approach, and she takes on f3. Now e7 is as done immediately by Kateryna Lagno. And let's see, queen d7 will we reach the position we analyze? Yes, this is on the board. Now, what to play for white?
What to play? That's a good question. So with a trick, bishop h4. Ooh. Yeah, just getting this bishop away, getting it to g3 actually, where it's gonna cover the g file.
It's a good way to protect the king. Now, white is trying. Yeah.
Again, time pressure for Vaishali, and we saw that she is not, well, who is comfortable playing on seconds, but it's not her stronger side, let's say, so playing on seconds.
Yeah, well, we've seen blunder from both sides in time trouble.
Yes, but of course, I get the feeling that Kateryna has been more successful on seconds in this match.
And now we have again another position where right now, if everything comes down, this was crazy combination. If everything comes down, we have white as an extra pawn on the king side. And instead, black doesn't have really a way to push forward the pawn on the queen side. Maybe c5 could be actually an option.
The bishop on c4 is trapped. Black is counter-attacking the white's bishop on h4.
And tactics again.
But still
the bishop is trapped. And now this bishop takes c4 can be played, no?
Yeah. What was that?
Hanging.
What was that? What is it? Why so many intermediate moves? But white got an upper hand in those intermediate moves.
I would just want to shortly check. Bishop s3, taking the queen, and now this is the current position. Crazy. White is a piece up, as we expected, that because the bishop was trapped there.
But the game is not over yet. Yeah, they're still playing and pushing. And do you know the evaluation of two bishops versus bishop endgame? Have you seen such a? No, I'm kidding. But that should be a draw, I think.
Okay.
No, because two bishops versus a knight, it's okay. It's theoretically winning endgame, but not considering 50 moves rule.
Okay.
Because there are some positions where more moves are required to win. Okay, 9-4 in Kateryna Lagno's favor. And so far, the match is going well for her. I mean, she saves all difficult positions. She sometimes even turns the tables around in time trouble. And yeah, Vaishali, despite the fact that she's been pressing in many games, yeah, still.
We are halfway the second segment, 30 minutes remaining, 27 minutes remaining. And now she's going again with this idea we have seen in one of the first games with h4, remaining with the king at the middle of the board and trying to be active from the first few moves.
Yeah, but now I like it more since the center seems to be a little bit more stabilized for white somehow. In the games where she played it first time, her queen was on a3. I mean, the center was somehow very open and possible for black to attack.
Pawn on e3 keeps a bit the king protected, so it seems like the king is still pretty safe, even if knight d3 looks super scary right now.
Well, knight d3 is just a check, right? It's not a checkmate.
No, but then the king is For sure not castling anymore, no?
No, but we discussed it. Yeah, it's more sometimes in some positions, it's more psychological that we need to castle because, we've been taught and told so many times that king needs to castle, we need to castle as soon as possible. And because of this, it's so hard.
One cloud is a good opening.
No, I'm not saying that, but what I'm just saying is that sometimes castling is a loss of time. You lose time when castling. And in certain positions, having your rook on the H file is so much more important than having your king in safety, right? We say that putting our king on G1 is like safe place. It's not always the case. And here, for example, we see that the rook on H1 and queen on H3 is such an unpleasant battery, and I'm even not sure what black is going to do. How is Kateryna going to protect her king? Because h takes g6 is a threat.
Yeah, let's play just a no move, like rook c8. After h takes g6, this is over, is it? It's a really deadly threat. She needs to take some important decision here, and that's probably the reason why she's taking time. 1 minute for her.
Oof. I was afraid. I got scared that she played rook c8. No, it was just you demonstrating the idea. Yeah, I thought, wow, what a move it is. Okay, she played queen f6. She hopes to capture on g6 with her queen and protect the king side with her queen. But we know that the queen is not the best defender.
Absolutely, because then if the queen is attacked by a knight, well, the queen needs to be moved and then might not be defending anymore the point. But I think the idea of queen f6 is that after h take g6, you want to take with the queen, and then the queen is protecting on h7.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And now this queen, if this queen can be, for example, okay, knight e7 would be of course a dream, but would be optimal for white to attack the queen and to control the f5 square. For example, also, well, the knight on f4 would be good.
There are so many great moves to consider here. For example, knight d6, transferring the knight to f5.
That's a cool idea.
Or knight g5, but knight g5 is not really going anywhere, so that's why I like knight d6. Or if you don't want to hang your pieces, you can play knight g3. Yeah, a safer approach with the same idea.
Interesting. And this time is knight d6
she
on the board.
Yeah,
look at this. Yeah, she liked that.
Mm-hmm. Well, who doesn't? Who doesn't like her knight on f5 at this exact position, right? And yeah, knight takes f7 should be considered all the time. I mean, maybe it doesn't work immediately, but it might work at some point. Yeah,
maybe with the idea that then h7 might also hang. Knight f5 looks like very good. Threatening knight e7, rook e8 seems forced. And now how to go on?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's not so clear how to go on. Yeah, because the rook is on a1, the bishop on c1, right? We not enough pieces. Okay, maybe just even capturing on g7 and playing bishop d2 and trying to get the bishop to c3 might be an option. But then B2... knight takes f2. Yeah, knight takes f2. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, knight take f2.
Yeah, when you put your pieces on unprotected squares, it's always asking for trouble, right?
Let's show this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if king takes...
g4. Wait. Wow. Vaishali played g4. What a move.
Oh, it's sustaining the knight, no?
Yeah, but make your move. I don't know what to do, but just play faster, because a4, yes, she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what plan to pick. And Kateryna improved the position of her knight on d3 brilliantly by pushing the pawn to c4. And, well, yeah. It seems that white did everything well, but maybe it wasn't enough to create an attack. And yeah, that's...
It felt very hard to bring other pieces. Now we said knight on f5, beautiful knight, well looking, but then it didn't seem easy. Now, okay, there are some exchanges, the knight and the bishop. Still, the knight on f5 is strong.
Yeah, well, that's the only piece that White can be happy about, but one piece
Some
is
idea,
not enough.
Queen D7.
Yeah, you know what is funny? I was thinking that we say that one piece stands badly, the whole game stands badly, but it doesn't work the other way around. If one piece stands beautifully, it doesn't mean that your whole game stands beautifully. That's a sad situation.
I like the
Unfortunately.
bar that is going really up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Knight
really
h6, knight h6, getting closer to black's king.
You see, this is a repetition, possible repetition. Look at the knight on f6 at the end, one good piece. Ooh!
She played knight g5, she didn't go for a draw.
She didn't go for draw.
She decided to play on, I don't know the evaluation of this position, it just does look so scary.
Yeah,
Oof,
absolutely crazy with few seconds to go for this. And now she has 1.3 seconds. She's giving
she's
some
hoping for a draw.
Now she might take it or not. Or not, no, she doesn't.
What's going on? What's going on? Wait, mine. H6, king h5. Come on, never give up.
That was a mate threat.
Yes.
Now I think we're getting towards a draw.
Come on, just don't
blunder mate on h3.
No, don't run out of time. That will be
that's true. That's true.
Vaishali is making moves on her very last seconds, but now it's okay. Now everything is fine. Yeah. Whew, what a game. Quite an eventful game.
But it gives us the impression that Vaishali is not here to take an easy draw, but to fight. And I think that's a nice approach to be a fighter. And no matter how the match is going, she's trying. She's trying her chances.
And we have the Sicilian first time in this match. Vaishali goes for something completely different than e5. She's switching to c5.
Have you noticed the rating of Vaishali? 2666. That's a dangerous number.
I had 2666 several times. I had 2777 several times on chess.com. Unfortunately, I've never had 2888. But okay, time to work for that.
There is time. Mm-hmm. Do you like this? Do you like to play the Sicilian?
For what color?
Well,
in general,
you can say yes for white, yes for black.
Well, for white, I don't have any options because it's not me who is choosing it. I play e4 and it depends on my opponent. For black, I rarely play it. I play it once in a while. I mean, I used to play it more, but I don't think that I'm a Sicilian defense player.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a very... it's one of the most rich openings, but it's very, very complicated and so much theory.
Yeah, but nowadays, can you find a line with no theory? That would be my dream come true line. Unfortunately, it's very hard to find.
I think I've seen Carson playing 1a3 against Hans Niemann in one of the tournaments. So, you know, you can still play things that are not too theorized.
We will end up in just positions with colors reversed with an extra tempo for a white. Anyway, what do we have now?
Saying, there are just 80 different Sicilians. Yes, just.
For me, just one. You play second c3 and it's always Lapi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm a very happy player. I have just one kind of Sicilian.
Well, that's an easy approach. Although not open Sicilian, well, especially the Grand Prix attack or the c3 Alapin are a way to have just one Sicilian base. But the c3 is the most the best approach to have very few options for black. Basically, there are two main options.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and what do we have now? What a thunder pawn structure. Thunder pawns. E6, E5, F6, F7. It's like thunder. Thunderbolt. Anyway, okay. But I don't know why Vaishali was playing the real opus and was suffering throughout the whole match, because here, at least the position she got, I think is much
It's very interesting. Again, the king is not castle, and this king now is protected by 4 pawns at the middle of the board. Also, the G file is open. So this one rook on G8 and this pawn on H file you see is racing. So it can be. Also, Black is the only player that has the dark square bishop. So potentially this could also be something that might put some pressure towards the F2 pawn.
Yeah, doubling the rooks on the G file, and then G3 might be impossible due to the spin of the F2 pawn.
The more I look, the more I like Black position here. On the other side, what could White try to do? Of course, a knight on C4 would be a much better piece, but how to get there?
Yeah, how to get there.
Also, in the long run, White
I want it on C5.
On C5 even better, that's true. Well, on C5 it could get knight C1, knight B3. It's a bit slow, but maybe one day. Maybe. On the long run, White would like to create a pass pawn on the queen side, and if the position is stable on the king side, then okay, no pass pawn anymore because the pawn just got captured. Or maybe, yeah, White has a pass pawn.
Well, again, this plan was doubling up the rooks on the G file. At some point, might be interesting.
Yeah, but now after doubling the rooks, what do you want to do? What's next after doubling?
I don't know. Just improving your position.
Just improving slowly.
Well, yeah. Bishop C6 and F5 also looked pretty interesting, right?
I like this, yeah.
So there are plans. There are plans for Black. And White is trying very hard to get to this king on E7, maybe by playing rook B7 at some point.
That's...
And for example, Bishop B5 now loses. Bishop takes B5, and that's it. The game is over. That's what I wanted to demonstrate, but the players decided to demonstrate it for myself.
For the show.
That's it. The game is over.
After rook take B4, the queen can take, and then A1 is basically a mate. Okay, knight C3. Kateryna
decides to play on.
Yep. There are 30 minutes remaining in this 3+1 section, so she for sure will play one more game and maybe even two. So
maybe even two. Yeah, Vaishali needs to, to score well in those two to have good chances in the 1+1 segment, because anything is possible. That's for sure in 1+1, right? It's too fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that the 1+1 is very important to getting on the flow, because things can be very fast and then could be tough. By the way, I think we have a resignation in a few moves. E4 is hanging, and that would be a mate on G2 pretty soon. And here we see time. It's over, and new game.
New game, new start, and definitely a much better opening for Vaishali, much better outcome for Vaishali. So it might indicate that we're going to see more Sicilian defense in the next games. A4. That was such a funny game for Kateryna. Yesterday in the title Tuesday, one of her opponents played H3 instead of A4. You can even show this line if you will. I was just so fascinated. So Kateryna played A6, then D4 was played. And then, what was that? Yeah, then she captured, at some point, she just captured the pawn on, E takes D4, knight takes D4, knight takes E4, or something like that. Out of a sudden. And apparently, this move is possible in the classical 4 knights defense.
Exactly.
But since the B5 square is protected, in some lines, it's not a great decision. But I've never seen such an idea. I mean, so many knights are hanging. Because after knight takes C6, knight takes C3, I believe is going to happen.
Yeah, this is an insane variation.
Yeah. I've never seen it, but yeah, I got fascinated so much because it's so unbelievable. You know, this 4 knights defense that you've seen like 100 of times, and after knight takes d4, you like play bishop before almost automatically, but then you just realize that knight takes e4 is an option, and it is possible. It doesn't lose. Okay, anyway, the game has gone in
another direction.
Yes, yes.
But it's a very beautiful line. I started to prepare this for an OTP tournament, and it's very interesting. And it's clearly a shock because
knight takes e4, you mean? Immediately.
Knight take e4, yeah, in the without h3 a6.
Yeah, of course, h3 a6. It's even better for black, but okay, but it got me surprised. Really. No, chess is an amazing game because I've been playing chess for more than 30 years, but every single day I discover something completely new.
We have a mate threat on the board, but of course, g6 is played. And another mate threat.
Wow. It looks like this, scholar's mate line with the queen keep attacking and keep creating these checkmating threats.
Yeah, sometimes the game keep going with the move g4. Now it's not possible, of course, but sometimes this can be a typical way to try to give checkmate. Of course, it's a double hedge move. In this moment, it's not possible. The pawn would just be hanging. But sometimes can work, especially when you're castle long, then you see this move very easily played.
I don't like white's position, by the way. I don't know what happened and why they did what they did. And what is this a4 move exactly? What did I do? I used to play some funny line. I used to play, instead of a4 on the 5th move, I used to play bishop e2 for white. Waiting for bishop c5 to have knight takes e5. But after bishop e2 d5, I think is very strong.
There are so many crazy ideas in that. It seems like a standard boring line, but actually there are many things that can be very sharp. By the way, this position, let's have a general consideration. Black has the bishop here and 3 pawns per side, 6 pawns per side, 3 on a side, 3 on the king side, 3 on the queen side. Generally, I see that black has a very nice piece situation. Now, the rook on the rook is pressuring on b2, so it's not so easy to go out with the bishop. And those 2 bishops are so beautiful, especially the one on d6.
Yeah. Somehow white is struggling to coordinate her pieces, while it's so much easier for black to play. The bishop is going to get to b7, I think, soon. And then there's going to be pressure on g2 square.
Yeah, bishop b7 is on the board. Now, what to do? Where to place the knight?
To capture on, I would capture anyway the bishop on d6, and we'll just try. But again, this f4 move just weakened this big diagonal so much, and it's gonna be just tough for white to play because Vaishali would need to keep an eye on this g2 pawn all the time.
Yeah. Now we have opposite color bishop that is much different than an endgame.
That's true. Queen d4, bishop b2 is also an idea. White also can bite.
Yeah, I like to, when I learned for the first time opposite color bishop in a middle game, my coach always told me, it's like if you have an extra piece on half side of the board. So if you are attacking, you might have the upper side because you have an extra piece there. You can really put lots of pressure. And now it's funny that g2 is under pressure for white. And also this diagonal, it's can be dangerous. So who will be faster?
Yeah, white is running a little bit behind, right? So black is a little bit ahead. The bishop is already on the big diagonal. The rook is already on the second rank. But that's true, it's double-edged. Rook e8, queen d4, there are ideas to watch out when playing black. And it can, the situation can change very fast. But now the pin is very unpleasant. The pin is how to protect this bishop.
Well, rook d1, but this is rook e2.
Yeah, rook e2 doesn't look very good. Just doesn't look very good. Maybe rook a2, rook b2. something like that.
Rook 5.
Nice. Bishop e4, d5.
Just blocking everything. Also, this h4.
Just improving the position. Yeah, just making moves that improve your position.
You know, f5 seems like white didn't have a move, basically.
Well, just a desperate attempt to complicate.
But what if bishop takes? Then there is really rook e8 and maybe...
Yes, rook e8 and queen h4. That's the
yeah.
idea.
That's not over. I want to... Okay, too late.
That's nice.
Let's stick. Queen g3? But
now
the
it's not a
pieces are
middle
getting
game.
exchanged, and now it's much less clear. And suddenly the white king is so active. And is not going to get mated. So it can be, you know, this emoticon Giga Chad. This is a Giga Chad king. There is an emoticon in the chat. And this is exactly a Giga Chad king. Just very, very, I mean, it's just helping so much right now. Blocking the pawn on d4 to be pushed. Oh my God, the time.
Yeah,
Don't look
watch
at
out
the
for
time.
bishop f6, g5, rook a2, rook a8, rook h8. She didn't put her bishop f6, rook e6. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to place her bishop on the long diagonal. Now it's well, it's not a lost position, it's a draw, but just with this seconds, it's so hard to hold on.
Yeah, absolutely. We might see at one point
rook and bishop versus rook endgame. Yes.
Yeah.
Although it's still quite far away from this.
Can white avoid and something to organize a blockade on the black
of course.
and the dark pair? Because that would be a safer approach. Because bishop and rook versus rook is of course a draw, but with 1 second on the clock, I mean, oh my God.
Seconds, yeah.
This is so
seconds, it's hard. But they're gonna play for a very long time. Although just 4 minutes 30 seconds is left. Okay, still one game. I think there is no way they're gonna play for another 4 minutes this position, right?
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, my heart is no way.
Vaishali lost. Yeah, but
yeah, you know, but when you play on really so many moves on 1 second increment, there is once you just need once that your mouse is slipping from your hands and is not clicking, and that you lose some time.
Yeah. I know how it works. Trust me, with this playing with this 1 second in this title Tuesdays. Okay, 1 second is still better than no seconds at all. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, if you have I feel like increment, this 1 + 1 seconds means that if you have a completely winning position, you get it. Yeah. You cannot get flugged. But if the position is complex, if you have few time, you are in trouble. For real.
Yeah, I've missed so many times, like even an extra piece or an extra exchange. It's not so obvious if your opponent plays fast.
I know how it feels.
Yes.
Okay, we have another Sicilian. Vaishali had a very nice position before with that G file open, bishop pair. Now she's trying again, another Sicilian. Chat, do you prefer the Sicilian or e4, e5? Let's see if they prefer the second half more.
Chat always prefers a Sicilian, I think.
Not always.
No?
Oh, that depends.
I've got this feeling. Okay.
Because it's chaotic. Chat wants drama, no?
Yeah, Sicilian feels like more dramatic approach.
Yeah, I like that I asked for Sicilian or e5 and somebody replied Caro-Kann.
Yes.
Nice.
I know this feeling, yeah.
Yeah, French, Caro-Kann, I see. Guys, sorry, but that was not the question.
That's out of the menu for today.
Exactly. As h5 again, that's a very nice idea in this e6. I played this Khan variation in the Sicilian when I was smaller, and I really love the idea with h5. Sometimes now the dark square bishop is gone, but sometimes it's so beautiful to put a bishop on c5 and connect idea of knight g4 can be really, really, really dangerous.
Nice.
e5.
But yeah, Vaishali likes to keep her king in the center, and likes to try to open up the h file.
Queen g5. Woohoo. Pawn on g7 is hanging. How to protect? g6? Oi, oi, oi. Well, because before she had a very stable king at the middle of the board with the pawn on f6, e5, but this is a completely different story now.
Queen e5 is possible now. Even if white takes on g7, black can castle alongside, then the g file is going to be open. Why not?
Cool. I like queen e7 long castle. Oh, let's see. She's thinking. Oh, knight e5.
Okay, but same idea, of course. After if black dares to capture on g7, then long side castle, knight f3, rook g8 ideas. Actually, the game is over, right? Yeah, the queen is trapped, rook g8 and knight f3. If queen g3, yeah.
Engine says minus 3.6.
Yeah, because there is no way to save the queen. Yeah, so you got to be careful. There are poison pawns in chess.
Okay, now it's my time to make a move. By the way, the current score of this match is 10.5 to 5.5. So Vaishali is really now in a moment where she needs to bring a victory. And she knows it.
Well, it's going to be the last game of the segment.
Yes.
Right? And 10.5 to 5.5. Yeah. I'm not sure in the history of speed chess championships how much, what is like the maximum, what is the maximum comeback that happened in the last segment. I mean, when one player was leading the match, getting into the final portion, and what was the maximum score? Where
is this a piece hanging?
Well, she wants to play knight f3, but she did miss something, or maybe just queen takes f3. Actually, queen takes f4, knight f3 check, queen takes f3, and white gets 3 pieces for a queen, and in an open position, it's no, not g takes f3, knight takes f3.
Oh, sorry.
that's yeah, that changes. Yeah, well, she like set up a trap, but sometimes you can get into such traps, and Kateryna. For some reason,
she didn't take.
For some reason, she decided not to take. But then, well, then black can take on d3. The pawn on g2 is hanging. What's going on? I have no clue what's going on. I mean, knight e takes d3, c takes d3. Then even bishop takes g2 is a possibility. I mean, what a chaos.
Oh, f6 played.
f6? Why queen takes a 4 again? Queen takes a 4.
And now, basically you're forcing to take a 4. You are forcing it.
Yeah, she's forcing, but now it's like so much, because sometimes you just forget to calculate pieces. You know, you see, okay, you lose your queen, but you just forget to the fact that you captured so many. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Oh. Yeah, sometimes I don't know why. You see, you should not trust your opponent. You should calculate lines and...
Again, the knight! Oh my god.
Take the knight.
That's why the bar is literally going up and down, because that knight can actually be taken. There would be the idea of knight f3, but then the queen can be sacrificed for 3 pieces, which is very good. But this is never happening, and will
now
never
it's
happen.
Protected. Now the knight is protected, and the poor queen that was supposed to, to sacrifice herself. Look at this poor queen on h2 struggling there. I feel
it's a crying queen right now. Can't go anywhere. But again, guys, 9 seconds versus 20 seconds. This
9
is
seconds. Oh,
crazy.
I forgot about time. Yeah, I forgot about time.
Now, queen c2 looks very strong. And please make a move. Oh no, the queen got exchanged.
No, white is gonna win this one anyway. G4. It's a nice swindle, right? You say, but rook b6, getting back into the game. Yeah, that's very important to have this intermediate check. What's going on? h3.
Ooh.
Wow. There are some ideas after all for black. No, my mistake.
Absolutely. If the pawn disappears, then there are so many checks.
The knight is hanging on b3.
Oh.
Okay, but it's still just a draw, I believe. There are just too many pawns. Too many extra pawns.
Again, 3 seconds, 2 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, and Vaishali plays on, but yeah, it's just not enough.
What do you think? Can this be psychological? Also, with trying to, saying, I'm here. Oh, mate. Oh, okay. It was a check.
Well, Black can actually lose this game if she keeps on insisting. Rook takes g2, rook takes h2. Yeah, okay.
Well, now Black cannot win anymore. So here we go.
But what a game. What a game. Queen takes f4. It was a blind spot, for both opponents. When both opponents just consider it impossible to take, and they just carry on, go on without reconsidering it.
Yeah, that was really, really incredible. Knight on f4 is the hero of this game, but that's just handing in a draw. This means that the score of the match is 11-6 for Kateryna Lagno, leading with 5 points extra. Will we see a comeback in the bullet section? I don't know. We're gonna see it together. Stay tuned and be right back. We'll be right back after a very short break. The Rapid Chess Championship reaches its conclusion this weekend. We have amazing hosts Robert Haas and Daniel Naroditsky, and you can join for Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, and more of the biggest name in the chess in a 4-day tournament starting tomorrow, right here on chess.com.
A very exciting event. Yes, indeed, we're back, Alessia, and it's so nice to see so many great high top caliber events happening online on chess.com. Really gives me a big pleasure to be able to play chess being home. I don't know. That's my dream come true.
Oh yeah, actually there was after the pandemic, this was the during the pandemic there was the question, what is happening after? Will OTB die? Will online die? But actually we have them both, and that's beautiful because everyone can choose what they prefer. Many players just like to play OTB. At one point you might say, I'm tired of traveling so much around the world every day, always having to move, and online gives the possibility to do everything from home.
Yes, to stay connected with the chess community, either by playing or by commentating, and that's very exciting. And of course, I'm very happy, to be witnessing this kind of a change that the chess world has felt throughout the last years, and the more the better.
Yeah, the new opportunities incoming. We are, let's present everybody. We are in the Women's Speed Chess Championship. We are in the semi-final, and now we are in the last segment of the match between Kateryna Lagno and Vaishali. Right now, Kateryna Lagno is leading with 11 points. And now the question is, will Vaishali in the last segment, in the bullet one, with 30 minutes left, be able to perform an incredible comeback? I say incredible because Kateryna has showed an amazing chess. And as you said before, in time trouble, she seemed to be very, very resilient into finding the best move.
Yeah, but Vaishali does have a rating margin compared to Kateryna's rating on chess.com, bullet rating. But as I was saying earlier, it's only the rating they get by playing the Women's Speed Chess Championships throughout the years. I don't think these girls ever play bullet just for fun. Like a lot of...
Vaishali played lots of games.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, 2,500 games, so she might have a more accurate rating there.
Okay, but again, bullet was 1-0 compared to bullet was 1+1 is a completely different story. Yeah, so let's see what's going on the board. The situation is going to change really fast since it's a bullet.
Yeah, we had also another opening, was a Reiti, but this shows a different approach a bit in the bullet section. Vaishali is choosing some more solid openings and probably to save a bit on the time, no?
Well, but again, it's very important to be comfortable with the position, with the plans. You need to know where your pieces go, right? You don't have time to calculate and to think. You just need to make moves. You basically need to make moves every time. Although, again, 1+1 is a little bit different because sometimes you really need to stop and think. You really have to have this feeling where to stop to calculate.
Although I was appreciating these beautiful knights on c5 and e5. And now the knight is going towards a4, challenging the bishop on b2. Will we have a knight on c3 at one point? Maybe not.
I don't know. I think she's just going to take on b2. No, I didn't guess it. Okay, knight f3 alert, but she did capture.
Oh, yes. Now d3 is under attack. And 9 seconds already. Oh my God, this is so fast to get crazy, guys. Grab your popcorn. This is time trouble all the time.
Yeah, time trouble time. But make your move. Yeah, Vaishali, she does play on the very last seconds.
Well, there was a queen hanging.
But again, time difference. 10 seconds is a huge advantage, time advantage in 1+1.
Black also has an extra pawn, and the pawn on d3 is much more dangerous than the pawn on c5. So that position should be better.
Rook
but
B2.
This one is also getting dangerous now.
Rook B2. Yeah. Might have scared the opponent, but who knows the real evaluation of this idea. Okay, the pawns got exchanged. And actually, Vaishali is now, she has more time.
Oh my God, Kateryna Lagno having few seconds for the first time. But Vaishali is immediately also having very few time. Oh my God.
No, it's not going to be a draw.
No, Vaishali wants to play on this.
Ooh, the rook is gone. The knight is gone.
But that's a knight
f3 and queen g1 checkmate. Okay, well, yeah. What a sad result.
On one side, I said that Vaishali needs to win now, but on the other side, I say she needs not to lose anymore, because if not, the margin is just not possible anymore then.
Yeah, still
possible, I would say, yes. Yes, she needs to win everything. Or start to win. At least start to win the first game and keep going.
Start not to lose.
Yeah, start not to lose. That's a better suggestion. Yeah, our chat doesn't seem very happy. I see the emoticons, very sad emoticons going. I see we want an exciting match. Again, guys, for who are you cheering? I know that maybe now it might be a hard moment to cheer for Vaishali, but still, we want to know, where are you with your hearts? Or who are you cheering? We have somebody that is cheering for Alexandra, because we see the emoticon of Alexandra.
It's too late for this tournament now. I got eliminated, but what to do? Sometimes your opponent just plays better in one particular match.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another position. We have white as a king on e2. I mean, it's kind of similar structure, but white seems to have a bit more space. Also, the bishop on e3 seems better than the bishop on g7. Oh, they got exchanged.
No more bishops, but Vaishali, now she plays really fast. Look, 50 seconds against 15 seconds. What a time difference. I mean, we haven't noticed such a huge time difference for Vaishali throughout this match. Knight f4, yeah, knight g2, almost a checkmate is in the air. For example, I don't know, rook d2. Oops.
Ooh. Now knight h3 and the pawn on f2 is falling as well. Knight takes f2.
Yeah, but be careful. Knight takes f2, then rook d2, rook f6, right? And you're still holding the knight. Okay, knight, rook f6 is a good idea.
Rook f3, rook f4. This could be dangerous.
Well, that's definitely the position for comeback.
Now rook
rook f3, rook h3. Rook f3, rook h3.
And white got some checks, but after the checks, I think the king just will go very close. Ooh.
Oy, that was unexpected. That was unexpected. I also thought that the checkmate is inevitable, but well, unfortunately, it didn't go quite well.
Well, now it's again not so clear. Rook f2 attacking the pawn on c2.
And knight f6, yes.
Oh yeah, this is just saying GG's. And next game.
That was a very powerful game by Vaishali. Very fast play, and well, five points different.
London system. I need to ask, chat, do you like the London system? Right one. You don't like the London system? Actually, it's the Jobava London, right two. Alexandra, what would you write? 1 or 2?
Well, I mean, if you cannot avoid it, right, you should be able to confront it. So it's better not to think that you don't like it, because in any game you can face it. So you just get ready for it.
That's true. No, I like to play against the London and Jobava London. I think if you know the right plans, then you can get some nice position.
I try to play it with white, since so many people are playing it nowadays, but still, even though they say there is no theory in London, there is, unfortunately. Nowadays, if everyone plays the system, Wow, long side castle. That's a nice approach. That's what we like.
Opposite side castle means that every side will start to push the pawn on the opposite direction towards the opponent king.
Yep, f3, g4 is coming.
Yeah, b5 on the other side, and seems like could be a move right now because
yeah, why not? Yeah. Oh well, Kateryna
Black is preparing.
More careful. Yeah, but definitely.
Vaishali is again having more time. Probably she thought maybe the strategy is that one to put pressure. And now a nice idea. If the bishop gets exchanged, then queen g4 and attention, or queen h6 even.
Queen g5 or queen h6. Yes, that's a very good idea to have in mind. That's
and
why
king g7. Yeah, is stopping the idea. Now f3 with the idea of g4.
G4.
19 seconds. This is getting very, very tricky.
Okay, bishop takes e5, bishop e6, something. I think trying to exchange those bishops would have been a decent idea, because queen f4, g5, it's still like bishop e6. Oof, bishop e6, now g5, right? g5 might be quite unpleasant.
Yeah, then the pawn on e6 is very weak. So g5, pawn take, and you take with the queen, right? Okay, no g5.
No, okay. But she wants to take on h5, and no.
Now g5.
No, she doesn't want to. Okay, anyway, it's really fast. It's getting faster. So let's just have a look at what's going on. Because it's so hard to commentate, because it's going to be so many ups and downs in this last
many
seconds.
pawns are falling. White is grabbing everything. Just 3 pawns just grabbed. If another pawn grabbed. And also black is trying to do the same, you know?
Grab and go. A very interesting game.
All right.
Who is going to be faster? Yeah, she's heading to h8. She wants to play rook d8. Yeah, but unfortunately, queen f6 is just in time to protect the 8th rank. Rook e8, rook d8. Trying to triple on the back rank.
Now the pawn is pushing.
Yeah, now it's completely unclear. It's white who is getting checkmated. It's white who is getting checkmated.
Oh,
well, not really. Rook d1. Rook d1, not yet. Just the pawn. The pawn on h3 is too strong. It's just gonna get there. h3, h2, queen e4, and yep. What a sad game for Vaishali. She had great chances.
I like that there is just 1 minute of increment, and sometimes she has 1 second. Just 1 second.
She ran out of time. Although she had this one last check on f7. She could have given so many checks, actually. This one last. Maybe it was very close to a draw, so queen g4. But yeah.
Again, we have a margin of 6 points. So this is getting hard.
Actually,
18 minutes remaining. I know actually, there is still chances. Sorry. Actually, there is.
Yeah, okay. But I don't know. I used to believe in miracles, but the more you play chess, less you believe in them. But anyway, what I was going to say that chess.com, I think recently they changed the rules. So if you're like losing significantly, you can resign the match with 10 minutes to go or something like this.
Oh, okay.
Well, at least that's what we were told. I was told before my quarterfinal match against Hoifang. That I think, yeah, I'm not sure how then this percentage split is working price wise, but it's possible to resign the match.
But probably stopping there, probably. Because still the one that won has a huge margin, so he's probably getting a high percentage of the split still. So yeah, I understand the idea. What about this position? White has an extra pawn.
I don't like it for black. I don't know what happened in the opening, but something didn't go as planned.
Yeah, I said an extra pawn for now, but how to get back the pawn? Rook e2, rook e1, and then that pawn. Ooh, wait. Bing, boom, bam, boom, boom, and then?
And that's over. The pin again. Yeah. That was
now we
the
have an
only way.
exchange up.
Yeah, and the king is very weak. And look at the white rooks standing beautiful and two open files, e2 and d1, getting to d7 soon, if needed to, by the way.
Yeah, this is very, for the first time, Vaishali might be 7 points behind. Oi, oi, oi.
It doesn't go quite the way she would like it to go, but what to do? Yeah, if Kateryna is on fire, and again, she demonstrated yesterday she was ready for this match, getting like such a great start in Title Tuesday.
And another London, Jobava London. The knight on c3 aiming towards e5. There we go.
Yeah, because she got a very nice position with white in the previous game. Okay, she didn't use her chances, but she had a winning position, and that's already not bad. Okay, now it's a different story. The knight went to e4. White is obliged to go back to c3. I don't like what white did. I don't know what they were supposed to do, but definitely not the position they like to get out of the opening, because how to protect the knight on c3 now? Queen d3, bishop f5, knight b4. What to do?
That's very, very hard. Oh, bishop take a6. Can there be a knight takes c3 in between move?
No? Yeah, why not? Actually, that was definitely the move to consider. Knight takes c3 and then queen takes a6. But okay, Kateryna decided to leave the pressure on the c3 square. She just won the pawn. Or we can say, no, she didn't win the pawn. I'm sorry. Queen d2 is a nice intermediate way to have the equal number of pawns. And actually, now it's getting trickier. Now it's getting trickier because the bishop on f4 is having the full control over the b8 square. Wow, a5 is such an optimistic move, keeping the queen on a2, like closing the gate for this queen forever. I would not dare to consider such a move. But okay, Kateryna thinks that the queen is totally fine. e4 and queen h6. Look, e4 and queen h6.
Ooh, that's cool. Nice. And if f6, you can just take the pawn because the rook on b7 is there helping you. Yeah. Bishop take f6. Yes. Oh, queen f7, the queen is getting back.
Yeah, getting such positions, as you explained, was earlier with opposite colored bishops, right?
Yeah. And it's very pleasant. Just, okay, this pawn now, woo!
But the game is not over. The pawn is on a2. Wow, now it's gonna, like, take care of the rook.
Yeah, and now f2 suddenly. And now white is back to protect the pawns, back to protect, defend, rather than be attacking. And Kateryna is just farming pawns.
Well, that's a brave decision to capture on h5.
Well, but there is no piece. The rook on a1 is going to stay there forever. And maybe now is black displaying h4 and attacking.
Or e3. I like the move e3.
Or both together after each other.
Yes, yes, exactly. And bishop d5. So we cracked. We found the key.
Look at this. Is rook f5 winning?
Well, the bishop is pinned h6.
Ah, yeah.
Oops, the bishop is gone.
What happened?
Oh, black blundered.
Now h2 is hanging.
Now it's white who is pushing for a win. See, things happen. Black just forgot that the bishop on a4 would be hanging, and yeah, it's a turnaround again. White is heading for a win, but after rook takes c4, not anymore. Okay, what to do? It's very hard to be precise. Yes, it's dangerous, but it's under control.
Now there are some pawns getting exchanged. Last time during the Olympias, Arthur said me, equal material rook handgame are winning. And when you are 1 pawn down, yeah, it's a draw. But this is a draw.
Yeah, they're gonna agree on the draw, I believe. Rook g6, come on. What's going on? Kateryna decides to play on. That's okay, yeah. It's just so hard sometimes to find a way to agree on a draw, but 12 minutes to go, and that means that That means that we have how many games left?
Well, actually, yesterday while playing the title Tuesday, I noticed that it's so hard to offer even a draw when you have 1 second increment because you're not in time to click on the button, and so that's why they were probably going up and down. So we have 14 and up, 14 and up to 7 and up, 7 points margin. This is scary. Probably Vaishali doesn't have any more a chance.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as a comeback as possible. Of course, we always hope for comebacks, and we hope for tension and for this last game, decisive or Armageddon, even better, but not in this match.
Well, but still, money are on the table, you know? Let's remind everyone, the winner wins $4,000 plus you get the other $4,000 splitted according to the winning percentage. So, you know, winning one game might be $100 more, which is not bad, you know, for a bullet game, you know?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I mean, you want to fight still.
Yes. Okay, and sometimes it's just enjoyable, even if you lose a match. If you are losing a match, it's enjoyable to play against a strong opponent because it's lessons, right? You learn, you get an experience, you are trying to figure out why this particular opponent right now is stronger than yourself in order to come back, to make to draw conclusions and to come back stronger. That's the way, well, your career progresses.
Absolutely. Let's remind everyone, Vaishali is 21 years old, and she got the international master title last year. And, you know, she's still a young talent. We were discussing at what age is still your talent and what age then you become a veteran.
Oof, it's a very sad story. It's, you know, it's one day you're a young rising star, and it seems the next day you're a veteran. Yeah, I don't know why it happens, but that's how life goes. Oh, f3, knight takes d4, knight takes d4. No, knight takes d4 is possible, right?
Knight takes d4?
Yeah, c takes d4, bishop takes d4, knight f2, rook h8.
Sorry, I'm confused.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And rook h2, beautiful checkmate. Very beautiful checkmate.
We see we have a bit of delay, that's why.
Yeah. But that's exactly what happened, and that's why it's very important to keep your king protected all the time. Even in an endgame.
Is this a King's Indian? Oh no, Grunfeld.
Grunfeld, yeah, Grunfeld. Old Grunfeld, h4 is gonna happen. We know the drill.
No,
I know. How come? How come Vaishali didn't play h4? She did play it twice.
Yeah.
But I think c5 was not played there, right?
Probably yes. E6. So this is another approach. It seems like this is much more calm, easy to play, not too messy.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry, but we're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the studio. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order before we return back to the broadcast. This video will now play on loop. Hi everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the studio. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order for the broadcast to return. This video will now play on loop. Hi everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the broadcast. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get it back. This video will now play on loop. Hi everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here on the broadcast. I hope that we can get things in order soon. This video will now play on loop. Hi everyone. I'm sorry, but we're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here on the broadcast. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll stick with us and be patient as we work to return. This video will now play on loop. Hi everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get this back in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. How much longer does this have to go, guys? Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you...
Completely different setup.
Yeah, completely different setup, but not a lot of time left, just 5 minutes left. So I believe that we can officially declare this match won for Kateryna, unless she starts blundering scholars mates in two, and so on. And for such an experienced player, it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, and I think we are back again. Yes, somebody would like to have Danny. I understand, guys, but Danny cannot really always interrupt the show. Please, Danny, behave. So now we are here, and we have to see, this is probably the last or the second last game of this match. So please, Danny, stay calm. We don't want any more interruption. Now, what is happening? Will there be, who's giving mate to who?
Black is giving a checkmate. Well, at least Black is closer than white to give a checkmate.
Okay, but now some pieces are getting exchanged, so maybe not so clear.
Not so clear. Okay, we're gonna see. We're gonna check it out. But
Rook take b2, attacking f7, f2, sorry. Or rook b1. You take on f2.
Okay, heading to b8. The rook is heading to b8. But is it gonna have time to get there? Yeah, after rook takes f2, queen takes f2, rook b4, rook b8, sorry, queen e1, queen h4 seems like a very likely outcome of this game. It might end in a draw.
And might have this.
Yeah, we might have.
Ooh,
wow.
Bishop take a6. Look at this. If bishop takes, we have rook b8, and then it's a bit stronger. And now rook
g4.
Threatening rook h4, attention.
Yes.
What to do now?
But what about rook f1? Maybe rook f1 was still possible. Well, you see, it's very hard to protect from these threats. Yeah, and now
the pawn is gone.
Lost.
This is very bad.
Well, Vaishali can play on. She can resign. It doesn't really matter because, again...
well, Vaishali is winning. Vaishali has the black pieces.
Oh, I'm sorry. She is the one who trapped Kateryna. Yeah, I mixed up everything. I thought that it's Kateryna who played rook g4, rook h4. Then yes, and of course Kateryna will play on forever. Will play on for as many moves as she can hold on.
But I think no matter what, we will still have a last game. So
yeah, of course.
But maybe not, Maybe they can play for 2 more minutes now. I don't think so. Too few time.
It's imaginable. Imaginable. But
yeah, Black is pushing. Just those pawns.
Hard.
Queen f7, e3, d3, e2, f4. Let's push and baby, no?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Check, and now you can promote. And Well, it's not yet over. There are still
Oof,
2 minutes
now
left.
actually, yeah.
She might be trying, to get to
Without a
avoid.
pawn on e4, it would be a draw even, but
Yeah, 1 minute 50 seconds. Will we get them one more game, or will Kateryna Lagno manage to
hold on.
hold on for another minute? 1 minute 30.
Still quite unlikely. I think 1 minute 40 seconds is big time.
Now I think you can just sacrifice the queen. Yeah, now you promote.
Of course.
Now it's like over.
Yeah.
Still a check. She's holding 1 minute 20 seconds, but that's not enough time. I can imagine this is not enough time. And now we
one last game.
One last try. There was a stalemate. There was a stalemate trap. Let's at least show this. If King F4, this is stalemate. How many chatters would have played King F4 there?
No, yeah. They're all gonna take on F5 with a check, right? Chat.
Well, you never know. I've seen many crazy things. I've also done many crazy things.
Okay.
But not our ladies. We have again the Stainitz defense, but this time there was a very early bishop take c6.
Yeah, quite an odd moment to take. But okay, the knight got to F5. Quite an active position. Knight G3 and H4, H5, right? Yeah, you see, I'm getting there. I start to Knight C3 for the moment. Okay, but H4 will eventually be played, right? Yeah.
We have it.
Yeah, 4 hours. That's all it takes to read the player's mind.
Exactly. H5, Chor, H5. Going for the attack.
Wow, knight takes H5, G takes H5.
It's official. The time left is 0-0-0. So this is the last game.
Yeah, and we can congratulate Kateryna with a victory. Well, we will have a chance still, right, to let her know in person. But yeah, I'm waiting very much. I'm looking forward very much to another semifinal, which is going to be FIDE versus Gunina. That should be very exciting. And then, of course, the final match should be quite.
Ooh, the fork! Oh
ouch.
My God!
That's an ouch. You see what happens when you lose concentration? Because Kateryna, I think she heard this bell, right, indicating that the match is over, and well, yeah, when just.
Whatever.
A second, when you lose concentration, just blunder. That happens.
She's not. I'm. What do you think? Is she? What is she thinking? I don't care.
I don't care about it. No, maybe she. I don't know. Maybe she actually didn't have this timer on her screen, and she doesn't know. She's not sure whether it's like the last game, where the time has already run out or not. So she just takes all the seconds she has to resign at the very last moment.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because she is leading. Well, we know it. She has already won the match. This is the last game. And Vaishali has just.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, but we're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the studio. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order before we return back to the broadcast. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the studio. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order for the broadcast to return. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the broadcast. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get it back. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here on the broadcast. I hope that we can get things in order soon. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, but we're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here on the broadcast. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll stick with us and be patient as we work to return. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get this back in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. How much longer does this have to go, guys? Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get this in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some Oh, I'm messing with my mic here. I won't do that. I won't do that. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. That's not how my wife would. Wait, hold on. Wait, this is how I would do it. I was taught to do this the right way. My mom said if I did it this way and you fold it this way, no wrinkles. There you go. Back in that order. We'll get that. Okay. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. I think we're back now. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, but we're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the studio. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order before we return back to the broadcast. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the studio. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order for the broadcast to return. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here in the broadcast. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get it back. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here on the broadcast. I hope that we can get things in order soon. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, but we're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here on the broadcast. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll stick with us and be patient as we work to return. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get this back in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we work hard to get things in order. This video will now play on loop. How much longer does this have to go, guys? Hi, everyone. We're experiencing some technical difficulties on the broadcast right now. I hope you'll be patient with us as we get things in order. This video will now play on loop.
Welcome back. Here we are with the winner of the semi-final, Grandmaster Kateryna Lagno, the first player to access the final of this Women's Speed Chess Championship. Congratulations, Kateryna, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Kateryna, what are your impressions of the match? Congratulations, of course. How was the match unfolding?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Well, the first impression I have right now, I need to solve more tactic, more and more, because yes, I won the match, but it wasn't easy. I was ahead all the match, but I had some problems. I missed some tricks. So well, it was a tough match anyway.
Okay, well, you've been playing against Indian players since the beginning of this tournament. Yes. 3 in a row, 3 victories in a row, and we can be certain that in the final you are not going to face a player from India. Have you ever played against Hoyafan? Because against Valentina, I think you've played many times. And what is your personal score against Hoyafan and Valentina?
Against Valentina, I think it's equal because I won the last match, but I lost the previous one. And against Fine, I think we played once. I mean, Speed Championship, and I won, but it was really it was an incredible fight, and in the very last game in Bullet, so it just was something unreal. And well, of course, it will be tough anyway. It doesn't matter who wins.
Yes, exactly. Alessia, you said that you had a question from the chat to Kateryna.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to ask, first of all, if you think there is a favorite in the match between Fan and Gunina. And then the question from the chat is if there is one between them that you would rather prefer to face for the final.
First of all, okay, I would take Fan because well, she was I don't remember how many times world champion. But of course it depends on her shape, first of all, because she didn't play a lot. And we all know how tricky Valentina is. So, well, I would say that Fine is a favorite, but it's very unclear. And well, you know, I don't think too far right now, because I will play with a big pleasure. Doesn't matter who wins, Fine or Valentina. It will be another good experience. So really, I really don't care.
Amazing. So thank you so much for joining today for the interview. Congratulations again for winning the semi-final, and all the best wishes for the final.
Thank you.
And now here we say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Alexandra.
And, thank you, Alessia.
Thank you, girls.
Oh, we are already out? Oh. So we want to have a short look at the brackets. And of course, we will have next week the semi-final between Valentina Gunina and Fan. And we heard that maybe we might have Fan like favorite. What do you think, Alexandra?
Well, I mean, of course, if we look at the rating, Fan is a favorite. But again, Valentina is a very, very strong blitz player. She's capable of winning this match. No doubts about it. I just hope that it's going to be a tense match. It's going to be exciting, and we're going to enjoy it. This doesn't matter what result this match is going to bring us. But again, I'm looking forward so much to the second semifinal and to the final match as well. I'll be following very closely both matches. And yes, thank you, Alessia, so much for this semifinal, for commentating together. I hope that the chat enjoyed, despite all these minor technical difficulties that we faced. Well,
it was just Danny wanting to join us.
Yes, because it's such an exciting moment. It's such an exciting tournament once again. And of course, it's great to have such tournaments for women's as well. It's been a pleasure for me to participate in every single edition, and I'm looking forward always for more.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alexandra, and thank you so much, everybody, for watching. This is all for now. See you for the other semi-final, and then, of course, for the final, who will win the Women's Speed Chess Championship. See you. Goodbye.
Bye.